Chapter 566. Inside the Battleship. Beep. Just as Xia Ping and the others took their seats, an email was sent to each of their communicators. Rules of the Genius Tournament. Many people clicked on the email and immediately saw the title. "We're going to the Sun Moon City this time," someone exclaimed after reading the contents of the email. Sun Moon City? Xia Ping knew that this was the largest combat city in the Cloud Realm. It had built many combat arenas and usually hosted a large number of combat competitions, such as the Grandmaster Battle and even the Battle of the Kings, all held in this place. The city was also one of the most famous cities in the Cloud Realm. Many warriors would come to this city to find various experts to duel and increase their martial arts experience. The venue of the Genius Tournament was also chosen to be in this city. There are a total of 2 rounds in the Genius Tournament. Someone continued reading the email. The first round is the preliminaries. There are a total of 1 million people who signed up. After the preliminaries, only 10,000 people will qualify. The geniuses who qualify are qualified to enter the Celestial Demon battlefield. Many people were shocked after reading the content. As long as they passed the first round of preliminaries, they would be qualified to enter the Celestial Demon battlefield. This was too easy. An elite student sneered. "Do you think it's easy? Everyone who can participate in the Genius Tournament is a genius? They are all monsters who advance to the Martial Master realm before the age of 30. There are 1 million people like that. But only 10,000 people can pass the preliminaries. This is practically 1 in 100. Don't you think it's difficult?" Many people nodded. They were originally elites who had been selected. Now that they had entered the preliminaries, they would be screened again. Those who could pass the preliminaries were probably local geniuses. Xia Ping also saw the preliminaries. It was a survival battle. The battlefield would be set in Sun Moon City. 1 million participants would be distributed in 10 regions. Each region was a human city that could accommodate millions of people. In other words, each region would have 100,000 participants. The preliminaries would last for a week. If you want to pass the preliminaries, you have to earn points. Everyone starts with 1 point. As long as you defeat your opponent, you can get all their points. If you lose, your points will be halved. Only 1,000 people from each region can advance. In other words, 99,000 people must be eliminated. What a cruel elimination tournament. This is a battlefield of slaughter. If anyone wants to advance, they must kill each other. It can't be. If that's the case, won't many people die? No, the Sun Moon City has the most advanced technology of mankind, and it can simulate a martial arts battlefield. The entire competition area was surrounded by energy, and all the buildings were simulated by energy. If a contestant's life is in danger, they will be saved immediately. Even so, serious injuries are inevitable. Many elite students sighed. Just the preliminaries alone had made them feel incomparably cruel. Those who could pass the preliminaries were all outstanding talents, elites of humanity. Amazing. A student shouted. The school has also sent an email, saying that if you can pass the preliminaries and enter the top 1,000, the school will reward you with 500,000 points. If you enter the top 100, you'll get 1 million points. If you enter the top 10, you'll get 50 million points. If you get first place, you'll get 10 million points. Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar. This time the school was really going all out. As long as you passed the preliminaries, you'd get 500,000 points. If you got first place, you'd get 10 million points. That was an astronomical number. If they could get first place, they wouldn't have to go out on missions for several years. All they had to do was cultivate in peace. If I can get first place, I'll be rich. That's 10 million points. I can even exchange for a king-class high-grade qigong. It's fine even if you eat one or throw one away. Someone sighed. In your dreams? Even the strongest elite students in our school can't say they can get first place. That's right. Other than the 4 super schools, Aries College, Black and White Academy, Tianjin University, and Yanhuang University, there are even some secret weapons nurtured by the King families. Some of the King family's disciples will also be participating. None of these people lose out to the elite students of our Yanhuang University. Many people snorted. It wasn't easy to get first place. There were many strong people in this world. Someone immediately said, even those who can't become elite students can't be underestimated. It said that there's someone called Xiansho. He's a student of Aries College. He couldn't become an elite student during his time in university, so he graduated looking ordinary. But who would have thought that after he graduated, he went on an adventure and accidentally fell into the 10,000 dragon pool. He bathed in dragon blood and was reborn, becoming a peerless genius. After that, he killed his way through, rising to the peak of martial master in just a few years. His battle power is unparalleled, and he was even recruited as a core member of the Aurora Corporation. He's one of the hot favorites to win this time's genius competition. Bathed in dragon blood. The group of elite students was very jealous. To be able to come out alive after bathing in dragon blood was a great opportunity. It was a life-changing experience. Even the descendants of kings couldn't compare to this kind of genius. No. Although Xianshu is strong, how can he compare to Feng Qiudao? Someone sneered. He's from the Feng family, a direct descendant of the Feng family. He's the most outstanding genius in 100 years. He was bathed in the blood of the immortal phoenix when he was born. His body has a trace of the immortal phoenix's characteristics, and his bloodline has been activated. He also cultivates a peerless king-class qigong, the Phoenix Sutra. His battle power is invincible. He's a strong candidate to win this time's championship. Immortal Phoenix blood. Hearing this, everyone's eyes turned green. The Feng family was indeed worthy of being called a king family. They were really rich to be able to take out such a treasure and raise it from infancy. How could they compare? From the very beginning, he had never stood on the same starting point as them. Although Feng Qiudao is very strong, I don't think the strongest person in our Yanhuang University by Qingqing is any weaker than them. Someone said, she has the Azure Phoenix bloodline and it has been completely activated. She has the 7 orifices exquisite body and 7 dantian seas of qi. Just the power of her true essence is at least 7 times that of others. Who could be her match? 7 dantian seas of qi. The surrounding people were completely dumbfounded. Ordinary people only had 1 dantian sea of qi, which was the center of the human body. It was responsible for refining the world's spirit energy and absorbing medicinal power. Without a dantian sea of qi, it was impossible to cultivate. However, Bai Qingqing had 7 dantian seas of qi. She could absorb the world's spirit energy and refine medicinal power at least 7 times faster than ordinary people. Chapter 567. Amazing. Xia Ping clenched his fists. This information was an eye-opener for him. He didn't expect there to be more powerful cultivators in the world than he had imagined. Aside from Xianshu, Bai Qingqing and Feng Qiudao, there were many other strong competitors. For example, Lu Chao had the bloodline of the King Kong demon ape. After activating it, he had an indestructible body. Even if a sword or saber hit him, he would be unscathed. Rumor had it that he had once fought against someone who had just entered the Grandmaster realm. He had withstood 100 moves and was defeated because his true essence was exhausted. Some said that his defense was the strongest among the elite students. Even Feng Qiudao, who was bathed in the blood of the immortal phoenix, might not be able to break through his defense. Lian Jingshun had the mermaid bloodline and was born with the ability to control water. Once he entered the sea, he was invincible and could set off storms. Even on land, there were very few who could defeat him. There was also the Earth Hero, who had the Earth Dragon bloodline and was born with the ability to control the Earth element. He had the power to move mountains and seas. It was said that as long as he stood on the ground, he would not be defeated. There were so many experts like this that they were innumerable. Damn, looks like we can forget about getting first. It would be good enough if we can pass the preliminaries. Isn't that right? All of them either have the bloodline of a king or had a great encounter. There's no justice in this world. Indeed. There's no way for us ordinary people to survive. There's no hope for this genius battle. We can only get the right to enter the Sky Demon battlefield. Maybe there's a chance to turn things around. Many elite students felt very helpless. Even if they were at the same cultivation level, they would not be a match for so many geniuses. Boom. The warship quickly flew toward Sun Moon City. At the same time, other places were shocked by the genius battle that had swept across the entire Cloud Realm. Ares College must get first in this genius battle. Try to get as many spots as possible in the top 1,000. It's best if we can get all of the top 10, a teacher from Ares College roared. Yes. Let the people from the other schools eat shit. Many of the elite students of Ares College roared. Their morale was high. Previously, our Black-White Academy's ranking wasn't very ideal. This time we have to fight for the Academy's honor. Otherwise, when you guys come back, double the training. Train until you vomit blood. Do you hear me? The teachers of the Black-White Academy were also mobilizing the students before the battle. Yes, teacher. This time, our Black-White Academy will definitely defeat the other academies and obtain first place. A group of elite students from the Black-White Academy shouted, their eyes burning with fire. The first place belongs to our heavenly deity university. Without the first place we are nothing. You are all heavenly deities, supreme gods. Anyone who obstructs your path will be annihilated. The teacher from Heavenly Deity University had a grave and stern expression, his killing intent soaring. I know, teacher. It's only natural to get first place. No one can stop our Tianxin University. A group of elite students from Heavenly Deity University had cold and aloof gazes, as though they didn't place anyone in their eyes. At this time, the members of the various sovereign clans also moved out. This genius battle is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's right, if I can show my face in the battle of geniuses, this will be my chance to stand out. It's said that the champion of the genius battle will receive a great reward from the sovereign clan. It's definitely a chance to get first place. You must also obtain the right to enter the heavenly demonic battlefield. There are countless supreme treasures there, which are of great benefit to our clans. You must pass the preliminaries. If you can pass the preliminaries, you will immediately become the focus of the clan's nurturing and stand out. Many sovereign clans promised their descendants that as long as they could pass the preliminaries and obtain the opportunity to enter the heavenly demonic battlefield, the clan would definitely reward them handsomely. If they could get into the top 100 or even the top 10, they would be nurtured as the future clan leader and would be able to wield supreme power. Some descendants clenched their fists tightly. They had waited for many years for this chance to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Once they showed their faces in the genius battle, they would immediately soar into the sky. No matter how much they had been neglected by their clans, once they performed outstandingly in the genius battle, they would immediately become the focus of the clan's nurturing and have a boundless future. In fact, in the previous genius battles, there had been many people who had suddenly erupted and attracted attention, and some had even been taken in as disciples by sovereign clans. This was a chance for them to leap over the Dragon's Gate. A few powerful martial arts organizations were also in discussion. I heard that the genius battle this time is no small matter. The previous ones are completely incomparable to this one. Many geniuses that are rarely seen in 100 years have appeared. It's simply an unparalleled grand occasion. This is the era of geniuses, where the geniuses will fight for supremacy. It's fine even if they aren't in the top 100. As long as they can pass the preliminaries, they are all monsters and will enter the various martial arts organizations. They will probably all become core members and hold great power. Isn't that so? Many of the big shots of the martial arts organizations have come from the genius battle. These people have boundless prospects. This is the best chance to recruit martial arts elites. We must keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on every outstanding martial artist. If we miss any one of them, we will suffer heavy losses. Everyone keep your eyes peeled. Yes, boss. We will work in 3 shifts and follow them 24/7. We definitely won't miss a single one. The core elites of many martial arts organizations were in discussion. They were also keeping an eye on the genius battle this time, hoping to pick out martial arts elites to join their organizations. Those who were able to stand out in the genius battle would probably all become martial arts masters in the future. They might even become kings. If they could recruit one of them, the rewards would be unimaginable. It was not hard to imagine how much importance they placed on this genius battle. However, there was light and there was darkness in the world. Many beasts were also discussing in secret. The genius battle of the human race has begun again. Good start. This time, keep an eye on every human genius with potential and put them on the kill list of the beasts. If we kill all these human geniuses, it will be a great blow to the human race's military power. Even if we can't kill all of them, killing a few of them will be equivalent to killing a few future kings of the human race. It will be a great benefit for us beasts. We must weaken the power of the human race. The human race is developing too fast. Otherwise, the next war between the human race and the beast race will be a crushing defeat for us beasts. Of course, those human geniuses will die for sure. Chapter 568. Boom. After some time, Yanhuang University's battleship finally arrived at Sun Moon City. Apart from Yanhuang University's battleship, the battleships of other schools, the battleships of the King clans, and even the civilian spaceships all arrived one after another. The sky was extremely busy as people landed in this huge city. Welcome to Sun Moon City. The preliminaries are about to begin. In 30 seconds, you will be randomly teleported to 10 competition zones. Please pay attention and prepare in advance. As soon as they arrived at Sun Moon City, a mechanical voice sounded from the battleship. What? How can it be so fast? There are still 30 seconds left. Prepare in advance, my ass. This doesn't make sense. Why don't they rest for a night before starting? Many students were shocked. They hadn't even finished preparing. They didn't even have time to rest before the competition started. This was too fast. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He felt that this might be a part of the competition. It was used to test the students' ability to adapt to crises. If they couldn't adapt immediately, they would be eliminated. Time passed quickly. The mechanical voice sounded again, about to be randomly teleported. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 teleport. Boom. As soon as the voice sounded, Xiaoping and the others who were still sitting on the battleship were immediately surrounded by a ball of energy. In the next second, they were instantly teleported away. All the participants who arrived at Sun Moon City instantly disappeared from their original positions. In the next second, in Sun Moon City, 1 million elite students landed in the 10 competition cities simulated by energy. They were evenly distributed to different competition zones. At this moment, the preliminaries of the Genius Battle began. The Genius Battle was a grand event for the entire human race. From the high and mighty kings to the ordinary people, they were all paying attention to this super event that was held once every few years. Especially the students from the various schools, the graduates, and even the families of the participants. They would all pay attention to this super event. This was an unprecedented grand event. There were also many surveillance cameras installed in SimCity, which could display the battle situation of each competition zone. Everyone could also follow the contestants they liked and bring up the surveillance footage. Whoosh. At this time, Xiaoping opened his eyes, and the energy wrapping his body disappeared. He immediately found himself in an ordinary room with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. The room was filled with various types of weapons. Blades, swords, hammers, daggers, etc. All of them were made from steel and were incomparably sharp. Although they could not compare to prized artifacts, they could still be considered as high-grade weapons. These weapons were probably meant for the participants to use. Xiaoping glanced around and walked out to the balcony. Immediately, he saw rows upon rows of high-rise buildings and intersecting highways. It was like a bustling metropolis. But now it was very quiet, as if there were no signs of life. He immediately knew that the competition had just begun, and the others should still be familiarizing themselves with the environment. Bang! Before Xiaoping could finish observing the surrounding environment, the titanium alloy door of the room was suddenly split into 2 halves from the middle by a knife. Even the saber chi crisscrossed, causing more than a dozen cracks to appear on the marble floor. It was as if the entire room had been split in half by the saber, and the air was filled with a terrifying murderous aura. Then a 2-meter-tall bald man walked in holding a long saber in his hand. His face was ferocious, and he looked at Xiaoping as if he had seen a prey. He laughed cruelly and said, "You're really lucky. You actually found a prey in a random room. How pitiful, kid. The competition has just begun, and you're already going to be eliminated. Die for me." As soon as his voice fell, he clenched his long saber and blue veins popped out. It was as if the air was being squeezed, and a terrifying saber chi burst out, slashing towards Xiaoping without mercy. Xiaoping snorted coldly and a cold light flashed in his eyes. This bald man was incomparably arrogant. He probably saw that Xiaoping was weak, and thought that Xiaoping was a fish that could be slaughtered at will. But he was wrong, very wrong. He was not facing a fish, but a ferocious tiger that would eat people. The qigong in Xiaoping's body revolved crazily, and a wave of power rose from his feet, along his muscles, bones, inch by inch, constantly accumulating power and finally reaching his fist. He took a step forward and punched with his right fist, like a shark leaping out from the bottom of the sea, exploding with a fatal blow. Boom. The air exploded and a thunderous sound erupted, immediately shattering the bald man's eardrums and blood seeped out. Even the glass around the room was shattered. The fist force of this punch was incomparably terrifying, shattering everything. Xiaoping, who had advanced to the 6th heaven of martial master and refined even more infernal golden crow cells, was simply terrifying. It was unknown how much stronger he was before. Boom. The condensed, baleful saber chi in front of him was blown away by the punch. Even the fine steel saber could not withstand this vast power, and directly broke into more than a dozen pieces. With a few clangs, the broken iron fell to the ground, smashing a deep pit. How is this possible? The bald man was so scared that he peed his pants. His saber chi was blown away and even the saber in his hand was shattered. He was wide open, and there was no way he could resist Xia Ping's ferocious punch. Boom. Just like that, his chest took a solid punch and his whole body flew backward like a piece of paper, smashing through more than a dozen cement walls and gravel flew everywhere. The terrifying force shook his body thousands of times, destroying his internal organs. With a beep, a voice rang out, "Participant XXX is seriously injured, on the verge of death, disqualified." No, no, no. The bald man's face turned red and he shouted with all his might, "I'm an expert at the 8th heaven of martial master." Do you know the 8th heaven? How could I be defeated by a mere 6th heaven of martial master? Impossible, such a thing definitely can't happen. I'm not seriously injured, not seriously injured at all. It's all an illusion, all an illusion. He was simply crazy. Previously he had been complacent, thinking that he could defeat everyone in the competition and obtain the right to participate in the first round, or even enter the top 1,000. And to be honest, with his strength at the 8th heaven of martial master, he had the right to do so. However, who would have thought that he would meet a monster at the beginning? Clearly, Lin Fan was only a 6th heaven of martial master, and no matter how he looked at it, it was impossible for him to be a match for him. He had also thought that Lin Fan was a fat sheep, someone who would be eliminated at the beginning. However, Lin Fan destroyed him with one punch and he had no strength to fight back. He had lost even more unjustly than Do Yi. However, no matter how he screamed or how unwilling he was, he could not change the outcome. Whoosh. Chapter 569. Holy shit. The competition has just begun and someone has already been eliminated. It's too fast. I haven't even had time to sit down. Some spectators immediately noticed that someone had been eliminated from the preliminaries. It's Baldy Wang who was eliminated. Someone recognized the bald man, but his face showed a look of disbelief. But what's going on? Baldy Wang is an expert in the LV8 martial master realm. It's possible for him to enter the top 1,000. Now he was defeated by a guy in the LV6 martial master realm, and he was crippled with one punch. He was a little confused because he was very familiar with Baldy Wang and knew his strength. Baldy Wang's bladesmanship had reached the acme of perfection, and he could be called a bladesmanship master. He had thought that this guy could pass the preliminaries, but he didn't expect that he would be eliminated at the beginning. Moreover, the one who killed him was not an expert at the peak of the LV6 martial master realm. LV8 martial master realm, so what? You should know that all the contestants are geniuses. Challenging people of a higher level is as easy as eating and drinking for them. You're a little ignorant. Someone sneered. That's right. Martial arts realm doesn't mean everything. Cultivation methods, martial arts techniques, experience, combat awareness, and so on. These are the key factors that make up one's combat strength. Although this bald man is strong, it's obvious that he met someone stronger than him. It's not a shame that he lost at the beginning. It's just that he's not strong enough. I guess he's not lucky either. After all, it's rare to meet a genius who can kill an opponent 2 levels above him. Many spectators were commenting. There were many experts in the Grandmaster realm among them, and they were very discerning. Naturally, they knew that the bald man was very strong, but unfortunately, his opponent was even stronger. In the arena. Well, it seems that I have one more point. Xia Ping turned on his communication device and immediately a virtual screen popped out, showing his competition information. He had already obtained 1 point, which was obtained by killing the contestant just now. Only 1 point? That's still too little. After a while, maybe I can get more points by killing an enemy. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. According to the rules of the competition, the more enemies he killed, the more points he would get. Therefore, in the later stages of the competition, only the strong were left. Each of them must have killed an unknown number of opponents. When the time came, killing one of them would give them a lot of points. If I can find a safe place to recuperate and wait for the last day to strike and kill the experts, I'll probably be able to enter the top 1,000. Xia Ping also knew that many people would have the same thought. After all, even if it was an expert, if they were surrounded by 10, 100, or even 1,000 experts, they would inevitably be eliminated. At that time, it would be an injustice to lose. Unfortunately, I'm not an ordinary martial artist. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. If he was an ordinary person, he would also have the same idea. He would temporarily hide and wait for the enemy to exhaust himself to avoid being besieged. However, he felt that this was a great opportunity to spar with many experts, sharpen his martial arts cultivation, and stimulate his body's potential, helping him refine the boundless medicinal energy in his body. If he could break through to the seventh heaven of martial master during the competition and enter the superior martial master realm, his strength would increase greatly. Then even if he entered the top 10 he would still have hope. Therefore he wanted to maintain a high profile and challenge experts from all directions. Swoosh. Thinking of this, Xia Ping immediately jumped from the balcony and landed under the garden in front of the residential building. At the same time he spread out his mental energy, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. Who is it? How dare you use your mental energy to scan? Do you know how to spell the word death? How dare you? The vibration of mental energy immediately alarmed the surrounding martial artists. To martial artists, an undisguised mental energy scan was clearly a malicious provocation. After all, once their hiding place was discovered, they would face a calamity. Hence, upon sensing this unbridled mental power fluctuation, more than a dozen figures immediately jumped out of the residential building and surrounded Xia Ping, glaring at him fiercely. Xia Ping glanced around and found a total of 13 people walking out of the residential building. In addition, there were many martial artists hiding in the residential building, as if they were unwilling to show themselves. Perhaps these people were sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. How dare you use your mental energy to scan? You're quite brave. This is a public provocation. Do you know what you're capable of? Immediately, 13 martial artists appeared and stared at Xia Ping. Their expressions were very unfriendly and murderous. I'm an elite student of Yanhuang University. Yanhuang University has been orthodox for thousands of years and is the strongest university in the Cloud Realm. If my identity was in ancient times, I would be a disciple of the emperor. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and his nose in the air. You all jumped out one by one and behaved arrogantly. Why didn't you salute or greet me? Do you know what manners are? Don't you know the rules? Hurry up and kneel down to apologize. What? These martial artists all bared their teeth. Why did they have to salute and greet him just because he was a student of Yanhuang University? What kind of bullshit rule was this? They had never heard of it. Although Yanhuang University was powerful, it was not to the extent that every student who graduated from Yanhuang University was a disciple of the emperor. Moreover, he wanted them to kneel down and apologize. Who did this kid think he was? Without waiting for these people to answer, Xia Ping waved his hand and said carelessly, "Forget it. It's a waste of energy to talk to you uncultured bumpkins. I'm here to kill opponents and gain points. Line up one by one and report your names. I have a principle and that is I don't kill nameless people. Alright, which school are you from?" He pointed at the few sword-wielding martial artists in front of him. "I'm an elite student of Divine God University. I'm from Ares College. I'm from Black and White College. Humph, you want to use your school to bully us? Dream on. Our school is not inferior to Yanhuang University. In fact, it seems to be surpassing them recently." Instantly, a few martial artists revealed arrogant expressions. Obviously, they were all very proud of their own schools. "They're all trash," Xia Ping concluded. "What Divine God University? Ares College? Don't think that just because you have a god in your name you're really a god. You might be crazy, you know? As for Black and White College, I won't comment on them. They probably play Go." He casually commented on a few universities. "Fuck you, who's the crazy one? How dare you insult Ares College? You even dare to insult Divine God University? How dare you? My Black and White College doesn't play Go. Don't confuse me." When the few martial artists heard this, they were all furious. They glared at Xia Ping. They could not tolerate this kid insulting their school. Chapter 570. Xia Ping didn't care about those people. He pointed to the others and asked, "What about you guys? What university did you come from? Tell me." "I came from Mafei University. Confucian University. I came from Ocean University. Although it's not as good as Yanhuang University, it's still considered a key school. It's 1 in a million to get in. Every student is outstanding," several people said. But before he finished speaking, Xia Ping interrupted him. "Pick my ass. Garbage school. I've never heard of it. I don't know where it came from. You didn't get into Yanhuang University and you still have the nerve to participate in the qualifiers. How can you be so thick-skinned? But maybe this is the advantage of people from garbage schools. Thick skin. Maybe there's also an advantage called ignorance and fearlessness. Knowing that you'll be at the bottom, you still work hard to participate. The purpose is to highlight the strength of Yanhuang University. This is commendable." He was very emotional. A few people's faces turned green. Hearing their school being belittled and saying that they participated in the qualifiers because they were thick-skinned to highlight Yanhuang University, they couldn't wait to fight this bastard. You? Am I wrong? If you can't even get into Yanhuang University, what's the use of you? Xia Ping reprimanded. If I were you, I would have committed suicide in shame. People who can't get into Yanhuang University don't have the right to live in this world. Bastard. This group of people gritted their teeth. Their lungs were about to explode. What kind of logic was this? Could it be that people who couldn't get into a first-class university didn't have the right to live? Those who got into a third-rate university, wouldn't they all have to commit suicide? Kid, you're too presumptuous. A man in yellow jumped out and scolded Xia Ping. Don't think that getting into Yanhuang University is a big deal. Don't think that you're a hero. Like me, a high school graduate, hard training, and many adventures, I'm still standing on the same stage as you guys. Don't look down on me. He glared at Xia Ping with a murderous look. He was not convinced by Xia Ping's words. Illiterate, shut up immediately. Is this the place for you to speak? Xia Ping said impatiently, we who have been admitted to the university are talking. You, an illiterate high school graduate, are not qualified to speak. Do you have any shame? What? The yellow-clothed man's face turned green. He had never been hit like this before. Although he had just graduated from high school, he was not illiterate. He could read. Furthermore, to be able to advance to the martial master realm before the age of 30, he would be considered a genius no matter where he was. Even if he was a general in the army, he would be qualified. Who would dare say that he was illiterate? I am not illiterate. If you dare to talk nonsense here again, I will kill you. The yellow-robed man roared. Illiterate, 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 so what if you call me that? Xia Ping said disdainfully. He called out 3 times in a row. Bastard, die. The yellow-clothed man was furious to the extreme. With a loud bang, he instantly brandished a large saber on his body and slashed towards Xia Ping. He displayed the cultivation of the 7th heaven of martial master. A saber light flashed in the air, containing an incomparable killing intent. It was as if even a small mountain would be split in half. Moreover, the speed of the blade light was extremely fast. It was so fast that it broke the sound barrier. This was the yellow-clothed man's specialty, the 36 quick saber technique. He had cultivated this saber technique to the extreme and had reached the acme of perfection. Enemies who fought with him often did not know what was going on. With a flash of the saber light, he would kill them. Their heads and bodies would be instantly split in half, drenched in blood. Scram. Xia Ping stood where he was and did not move at all. He let out an angry roar. King-level martial technique, heavenly dragon's music. With a loud bang, this angry roar was really like the roar of a heavenly dragon. The air condensed and the sound waves surged like rolling waves, attacking the yellow-clothed man's body. The glass within a 3-kilometer radius was shaken by the sound waves and shattered. The elite students nearby could not help but cover their ears. Even so, the sound waves made their blood boil and they almost coughed up blood. The yellow-clothed man who had taken the blow head-on was even more miserable. The terrifying sound waves blasted over and instantly shattered his saber chi, then transmitted to his body. Dong. The yellow-clothed man let out a shrill scream. His body suffered thousands of shocks, and a large amount of blood flowed out of his eyes, mouth, nose, ears, and other parts of his body. With a swoosh, a white light flashed and he disappeared. Obviously, he had been defeated and had been teleported out. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground like spider webs, spreading over an area with a radius of 1 kilometer. What a powerful sound wave cultivation technique. It's too scary. How can this kid's genuine essence be so thick? He's only in the 6th level of the martial master realm. How can he be so terrifying? Seeing that Xia Ping had killed the yellow-clothed man with one move, the other martial artists' expressions changed greatly. They could feel the tyrannical battle strength of Xia Ping's body. They immediately knew that this kid was definitely not ordinary. He was not as simple as he seemed on the surface. I've already said that he's just an illiterate. How dare he attack an expert from Yanhuang University? Isn't he courting death? Xia Ping looked up to the sky and sighed. I hope he can learn his lesson in the future. When he meets a person of noble birth like me, he should turn around and run away. Maybe he can live a little longer this way. Kill him. A person shouted. He could not stand this kid for another second. Although he did not know the yellow-clothed man who had been killed in this situation, he could be considered a temporary ally. But now that their ally had been killed, how could they endure it? With a loud shout, the others also attacked. Some of them were holding long swords, some were holding spears, and some were holding broadswords. They rushed over like lightning. Swish, swish, swish. A cold light burst out like a meteor. It was beautiful but contained a fatal aura. The surrounding air trembled crazily, giving off a sharp, ear-piercing sound. More than 10 cold lights attacked together, erupting with a terrifying aura, covering Xiaoping's body in an instant. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. The qigong in his body circulated crazily, and he struck out with his palm. Immovable Buddha palm. Third move. Buddha moves mountains and rivers. At this moment, his whole body emitted a golden light, as if covered with a layer of gold. The faint shadow of a Buddha appeared behind him, and the whole ground shook under this vast power. Chapter 571. Bam. It was just a palm, but the huge shockwave of energy sent the group of people flying in an instant. At the same time, the clanging of weapons rang out as they were shattered. Ah! Many people screamed in pain, unable to withstand the force. A golden palm print appeared on their chests, and they were sent flying, exploding in the air. With a boom, the group of people turned into beams of white light and were teleported away. Him? There's still one person alive? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He had killed 11 experts with one palm, but he soon discovered that there was still a man in blue who was not dead. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and he was forced back dozens of steps. There was even a deep crack in the ground from his feet. Even though he looked miserable, he was not dead. This guy is too strong. The man in blue's heart was trembling. Just one palm was enough to destroy their alliance and even kill them with one palm. They didn't even have the strength to resist. The reason he was able to survive was because he cultivated a king-class defensive qigong, the Great Kasayapa Aura Barrier. That was why he could barely survive the palm. But even so, he was still heavily injured. If the other party were to send another palm strike at him, he would die without a burial. No, the competition has just begun. I can't be eliminated here. The man in blue clenched his teeth. He felt a chill in his heart. If he was eliminated now, he would not be satisfied. He had waited for 3 years for this competition, and who knew how much he had suffered. If he was eliminated just because he met a monster, he would lose too unjustly. But if he wanted to escape from this monster, the probability of him leaving alive was less than 10%. You can go. At this time, Xiaoping spoke to the man in blue. Go. Hearing this, the man in blue, who had been trembling all over, was stunned. His eyes widened as if he couldn't believe what Xiaoping had said. He was letting him go so easily? Yes, I'm letting you go. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. But I have a condition. After you leave, you must spread the word that Yanhuang University is invincible, and that we are gods. If anyone is dissatisfied, feel free to challenge me. I'll be waiting for them at the top of that building. He pointed at a 100-story reinforced concrete building in front of him. What? Hearing this, the blue-clothed man was completely dumbfounded. He looked at Xiaoping as if he was looking at a lunatic. This was the preliminaries and the competition had just begun. How dare he be so arrogant, choosing a place to fight against experts from all over? Just how much did he look down on people to dare to say such big words? After all, even a peak martial master would not have a good ending if he was surrounded by 10, 100, or even 1,000 people. He might even be killed on the spot. The normal way was to hide and wait for the number of martial artists to decrease, then fight with others. This was the best way, and it could also reduce the consumption of one's body so as not to fail miserably. However, this brat didn't even try to escape. Instead, he openly appeared in a place and waited for others to challenge him. He really didn't put the other martial artists in his eyes. Clearly, this fellow believed that even if the other martial artists joined forces, no matter how many there were, he had absolute confidence in defeating them. Otherwise, how would he dare to do this? He was simply looking down on the heroes of the world. Why aren't you saying anything? Do you want to die? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. Hearing this, the blue-clothed man immediately shivered and quickly said, No, I know. I will definitely spread your story so that the world will admire you. He didn't care if this brat was absolutely confident or arrogant. In any case, he couldn't be eliminated so quickly. Get lost. Remember, my name is Xiaoping. Let the trash from the other schools come here to die. I will wait for them there. Xiaoping waved his hand with a domineering expression, telling the blue-clothed man to get lost. Whoosh. As soon as Xiaoping finished speaking, The blue-clothed man turned into a flash of lightning and instantly fled. He was very afraid that Xiaoping would change his mind and eliminate him. Xiaoping ignored him and walked toward a nearby building. However, this scene was also noticed by many spectators in the cloud world, and they immediately erupted. Too arrogant. This brat is from Yanhuang University, and he dares to insult our Divine God University in Ares College, saying that we are crazy. Who gave him such courage? Some students from Divine God University saw this scene and were immediately seething with anger. Originally, Divine God University, Ares College, and the other schools were competitors with Yanhuang University, and their relationship was not good. Now that this brat said this, they were even more furious, like a kitten whose tail had been stepped on. That guy also said that our Black-White College plays go. A group of Black-White College students bared their teeth, wanting to immediately rush out and beat this brat up. Their Black-White College was also one of the few martial arts schools in the cloud world. How could they specialize in go? That bastard is so arrogant. If he meets an expert from our Ares College, he will be beaten to a pulp in a few moves. The students from Ares College were indignant. Not only that, that bastard also said that other than Yanhuang University, all other schools are trash and not worth mentioning. How dare he say such words? He is too arrogant. So what if he got into Yanhuang University? The students from other universities are also very hard-working. They are not trash. This is too much. This is a slap in our faces. He actually said that people who graduated from high school are illiterate. I will teach him a lesson. That bastard can't even pass the language test. Does he not know what illiterate means? Let that bastard go back and look it up in the dictionary. Speaking nonsense the moment he opens his mouth. Are all the students from Yanhuang University like this? How can they look down on others? Hurry up and check 18 generations of his ancestors. See what right he has to say such words. This kind of person is either the second generation of a rich family or the second generation of a government official. He definitely has a background of corruption and bribery. Arrest his father and investigate all his relatives. I guarantee that no fish has escaped the net. Don't let me see him on the streets. Otherwise, every time I see him, I will beat him up. I will not show any mercy. Many people in the audience were angered by Xiaoping's words. Some of them graduated from key universities, some from third-rate universities and some from high school. This group of people made up the majority, but Xiaoping's words were like a cannon on a map, scolding all of them. If this brat only spoke with his mouth, it would not be a big deal. At most, he would be a brainless person. Chapter 572. It's not just this kid. Everyone who graduated from Yanhuang University is like this. Isn't that so? These talented students are all so arrogant. They're so infuriating. Last time I had a gathering with some Yanhuang University graduates, these bastards asked me which school I graduated from as soon as we met. When they heard that I graduated from Ocean University, they showed a look of disdain as if I was some scum. It's so infuriating. Previously, my fiancé ran away with a fatty from Yanhuang University. They are such shameless people who specialize in poaching other people's women and snatching other people's wives. Bastards stealing other people's fiancés. Are they still human? In the eyes of these people, losers like us who can't get into a key university are not human at all. Snakes and rats are in cahoots. These Yanhuang University students are simply rotten on the inside. Don't think that having a good aptitude for martial arts is amazing. If your character is bad, sooner or later you will become a traitor. The greater the ability, the greater the harm. A group of people who had accumulated resentment for Yanhuang University for a long time cursed. Some people took advantage of the situation and maliciously spread rumors. Some students from Yanhuang University tried to explain that they were not this kind of people. They were usually more low-key, modest, and polite. They had never been as arrogant and condescending as Xiaoping. That kid was a weirdo. Even in Yanhuang University, this guy was hated by everyone and everyone wanted to beat him up. However, how could these people believe the words of these Yanhuang University students? They thought that they were simply a nest of snakes and rats. As soon as they opened their mouths, they were scolded and cursed. Some posts were chased and cursed for dozens of pages, and even their ancestors came out. The faces of those Yanhuang University students turned green. They felt that they had suffered an undeserved disaster, but there was nothing they could do. They were implicated by that bastard Xiaoping. At this time, the people of Pingtian sect jumped out. How could they tolerate these guys slandering their boss? First, Feng Hatong opened fire and shouted, What are you illiterates shouting for? You losers of life, stray dogs and honest people, it's not your fault that you can't get into Yanhuang University, but if you're still shouting brainlessly here, then there's something wrong with your brains. It's purely a failure of IQ. If you have the time, you might as well study hard and increase your knowledge, develop your poor brain and cultivate your character. This way, you might even be able to change your destiny. Otherwise, all of you can only carry bricks for the rest of your lives, collect relief funds, and be the parasites of society, understand? He fired his cannons at the group of people, mocking them with disdain. That's right, that's right. A bunch of people who are so poor that they can only eat instant noodles every day. So what if I scold you? Tell me, apart from this, what else do you have? Now that my big brother has given you a sense of existence, you should be deeply grateful. No matter how bad our big brother is, he's still an elite student and someone who can participate in the genius battle. What about you losers? Can you even compare to a single strand of hair on our big brother's leg? You haven't even eaten your fill yet and you're already criticizing billionaires here. If you have the time, why don't you go carry a few more bricks and improve your lives? That's the reality. If you're illiterate, you have to admit it. My big brother is telling the truth, but you guys aren't happy. That's right, my big brother is such an honest person. He won't lie. If you're not convinced, come to Yanhuang University and beat me up if you have the guts. I'm right here, but I'm afraid you can't even afford the ticket. If you can't afford it, I can help you. It's an interest-free loan. A group of people from Pingtian sect shouted. They were very disdainful of the group of people on the internet. They thought that these people were just losers on the internet who came here to scold others and seek a sense of existence. These people thought that by mocking celebrities, they could raise their status and improve their status. Little did they know that they were just a pile of shit in the real world. They couldn't even afford instant noodles. People like them still wanted to criticize their big brother. It was simply a joke. They didn't even know their own worth. Seeing these replies, the entire internet immediately exploded. Their faces turned red and they clenched their fists. This group of bastards from Yanhuang University was too arrogant. What did they mean by saying that they had no value other than being scolded? Was there anyone who looked down on others like that? They even said that they were losers, honest people, and social vermin who could only receive social relief and go carry a few bricks when they had time. That way they could get a few more chicken legs and improve their lives. How much did these bastards from Yanhuang University look down on people? Even if they had to endure shit and piss, they couldn't tolerate this. Fuck, a group of Yanhuang University lackeys came out. They're all putting on airs. I'm so poor that I have to eat instant noodles every day? Eat my ass. When I had an annual income of over 100 million, you guys were still sperm. Don't think that you're great just because you're from Yanhuang University. My company only hired a dozen graduates from Yanhuang University to be gatekeepers. You guys can only be gatekeepers after graduation, understand? You bunch of students are all arrogant but incompetent. If you really go out to train and kill monsters, you'll just be cannon fodder. Just you wait. When I get my salary on the 15th, I'll immediately get someone to beat you up. Don't run after school if you have the guts. A group of people clamored. They were so angry that their faces turned green. They wanted nothing more than to rush over and beat up the group of Yanhuang University students through the screen. Did they think that they could look down on others just because they graduated from a prestigious university? They were too despicable. When Feng Hatong and the others saw these words, how could they tolerate it? They continued to scold them. A war broke out between the two sides. From Cheba to the forum, tens of thousands of posts were posted, carrying out personal attacks, trying to scold the other party until they couldn't take care of themselves. The atmosphere was very heated. When the other students of Yanhuang University saw this, they realized that the flames of war had spread to them. Many people went online to attack them for no reason, cursing their ancestors, saying that all the students of Yanhuang University were traitors and lackeys, and that they were all people who committed crimes. They gritted their teeth. This was purely a disaster for them. Even if they wanted to explain that they had nothing to do with the group of shit-stirrers from Yanhuang University, no one believed them at all. This bastard is the best. His scoundrel friends are also the same. All of them are shameless to the extreme. When Suji and the other girls saw this scene, they were also very speechless. This bastard's ability to cause trouble was too strong. Yanhuang University had 1,000 years of reputation and had always been a school of virtue and prestige. It was unknown how many people admired it. It should have been a cornerstone that could not be shaken. Chapter 573. At this moment, on the top floor of a 100-story building, Xiaoping was standing there, unaware of what was happening in the outside world. He just stood there, circulating the qigong in his body, feeling the boundless true energy, and comprehending the supreme mysteries of qigong. With his body as the center, he immediately condensed an energy field. His mental energy spread out, forming a circle like a domain, and he could feel the surrounding air currents. At this moment, Xiaoping raised his head and felt a strange fluctuation in the air. He immediately saw 2 or 3 figures leaping over from the top floor of a tall building in the distance, like cannonballs. With a boom, the 3 figures fell from the sky, landing tens of meters away from Xiaoping. Immediately, 2 or 3 deep pits appeared in the ground, and more than 10 cracks spread out, making a cracking sound. When the smoke dissipated, 3 young men in tight clothes, holding golden broadswords, appeared in front of Xiaoping. Their bodies emitted a violent aura, crushing towards Xiaoping viciously, displaying the cultivation of the 8th layer of martial master. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He could also feel the tyrannical strength of these 3 people. Look, it's the 3 Lin brothers of Aries College. In the live broadcast room, people immediately recognized the true identity of the 3 men holding golden broadswords. I didn't expect the famous 3 Lin brothers to appear. Lin Shi, Lin Hu, and Lin Bao are known as the 3 heroes of the Lin family. 3 years ago, they joined forces to kill the 7 scourges of the desert, killing hundreds of bandits along the way. Blood flowed like a river, and the bandits' lair was destroyed. They were a cruel mess. The 7 scourges of the desert are cruel and domineering for decades, killing people like flies. All of them are high-level martial masters, and they are vicious and cunning. No one has ever been able to kill them, but now they were slaughtered by the 3 Lin brothers. You can imagine how terrifying they are. They are proficient in the Lin family's 13 deadly blades. Each blade is fatal and incomparably fast. The 7 scourges of the desert did not understand this, and were beheaded with 1 blade, unable to escape. This kid is dead for sure. He provoked the 3 Lin brothers. There is no reason for him to not die. Many of the spectators were extremely excited. Some of them knew about the 3 Lin brothers and knew that they were extremely powerful. They were definitely not to be trifled with. Some of the Aries College students were even more excited. They were eager to see the 3 Lin brothers get rid of this arrogant student from Jianghu University. They wanted to see if he would still dare to be so arrogant in the future and look down on the heroes of the world. You're Xiaoping from Jianghu University? You're so young, but you sure have guts. The person who spoke was Lin Bao. His eyes were incomparably arrogant as he looked at Xiaoping. Just now, you were the one who got people to spread the news that you're invincible in the world and want to fight against the heroes in this building? You're only at the 6th level of the martial master realm, yet you dare to boast so shamelessly. Didn't your teacher teach you to be humble and low-key? His tone was filled with disdain. You're just a little brat, yet you dare to fight against the world alone. Have you abstained from sex? Lin Shi was also sneering. There are many people in this world who are stronger than you. Do you think a little kid like you can be so arrogant? Do you believe that I will chop off your head with a single slash? You won't be able to cry even if you want to. He did not put Xiaoping in his eyes at all. Cut the bullshit. Lin Hu stared at Xiaoping. I can give you a chance now. Immediately kowtow and apologize in front of us. Say that Jianghu University is not as good as Aries College. If not, not only will you be eliminated today, you will also suffer a fate worse than death. He clenched his fists. He was incomparably ferocious, and his tone had a hint of ridicule. These words were not a joke. Even if the entire arena was monitored by the system, once it was determined that the contestant might encounter a fatal injury, he would be quickly taken away and judged to have failed. But he could control the strength of his attacks so that Xiaoping would not receive fatal injuries. This way, the system would not be able to judge him as a failure, nor would it transfer him away from the arena. This way, they could completely torture this brat ruthlessly until he broke down. Kowtow and apologize? Why don't you go and die? With a boom, the other party had just finished speaking when Xiaoping stomped on the ground with 1 foot. In an instant, a huge, deep pit was formed. Both feet produced a strong impact, and his entire body flew out like a cannonball. He suddenly punched out, like a ferocious tiger's attack, towards Lin Hu, who was the closest. What? Lin Hu was instantly shocked. He felt that all the qi in his body had been locked, as if he was being stared at by a ferocious tiger, and there was no way to escape. Even this momentum, like a mountain pressing down on him, made him unable to breathe. Bang! This punch landed solidly on his chest, and the terrifying force crashed like a flood, sending Lin Hu's body flying out. The fist force shook thousands of times. With a poof, Lin Hu's body flew out, letting out a shrill scream. He immediately turned into a white light and instantly teleported away from the scene. Lin Hu eliminated. Oh. Seeing this situation, both Lin Bao and Lin Shi were stunned, and their eyes were bloodshot. The three brothers were of the same breath and branch, advancing and retreating together. They were also very lucky to be in the same arena in this qualifier. Originally, they had planned to break through the qualifier together and obtain the qualification to enter the Celestial Demon battlefield, but now Lin Hu was crippled by a punch and directly eliminated. One could imagine how angry they were now, and they even had the thought of killing Xia Ping. Whoosh whoosh. The two of them roared, and with a clang, a cold light appeared. In an instant, they pulled out their broadswords and slashed at Xia Ping. Lin family's fatal 13 swords. Suddenly, in mid-air, 13 beams of light appeared, each containing a fatal killing intent, and were extremely fast. 3 years ago, the 7 devils of the desert had been beheaded in this way, and they did not even know how they died. Now that 3 years had passed, the strength of the two of them was countless times more terrifying, and they had advanced to the 8th heaven of the martial master realm. With such a slash, they broke through the sound barrier, and the ground was torn apart by the wind of the blade. Even now, this attack was filled with hatred, and it was even more terrifying than the previous attack. It was almost their peak attack. Not my ass. How dare the mere trash of Ares College act so arrogantly in front of me? Who gave you the guts to do so? Xia Ping slapped out again. King-level peerless martial technique, clapless palm. As he slapped out, layers of palm prints appeared, like the horns of an antelope, untraceable. In the void, there seemed to be the faint roar of a giant dragon, fierce and unparalleled, sweeping up the wind. Even at a distance of more than 100 meters, the power of this palm could shatter mountains and break rivers. Boom, when the 13 beams of light came into contact with this palm power, they were immediately smashed into pieces. The air passed through, constantly vibrating, indestructible, and instantly slapped Lin Shi and Lin Bao. How was this possible? Chapter 574. Bang. The air exploded, and the long sabers in the hands of Lin Bao and Lin Shi were instantly shattered into a pile of broken iron. They fell to the ground with a few clangs, creating a pit. The two of them were swept by this unparalleled force, and their whole bodies flew out like straws, smashing into the wall of a building opposite. With a bang, 2 huge deep pits appeared in the opposite building. Cracks spread out like spider webs, and the glass made crackling sounds. Damn it! Lin Bao and Lin Shi were going crazy. Their eyes were wide open, and they could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Intense pain spread throughout their bodies, as if every cell in their bodies was being bitten by ants. They circulated the spiritual ether in their bodies, wanting to stand up and fight back, but before they could do anything, their bodies quickly turned into white light, and they were instantly expelled from the place. Obviously, the two of them were disqualified from the competition by the system and eliminated. In fact, if not for the protection of the system, they would have been smashed into pieces just now. This. Seeing this scene, the audience watching the live broadcast were all dumbfounded. They stared with their eyes wide open, as if they could not believe that the 3 Lin brothers had been defeated just like that. Especially the students of Ares College, they all looked as if they had lost their parents. One had to know that the 3 Lin brothers were famous experts in Ares College, and they were considered to have a chance of entering the top 100. But now they were killed by this kid in a few palms and eliminated. The gap between them was just too big. How could there be such a big gap? He actually beat the 3 Lin brothers to the point where they could not fight back. This kid is only a level 6 martial master. How could he defeat a level 8 martial master? That kind of martial arts technique is too terrifying. It is unparalleled and indestructible, and the strong wind that it erupts can crush titanium alloy into a pile of scrap iron. Even if the 3 Lin brothers wanted to block it, they would not be able to block it. It is pure bullying. That palm technique is unconstrained and unrestrained, but it also contains the strongest and most ferocious force. Even the dragon subduing palm is nothing more than this. This is definitely not an ordinary martial arts technique. And his spiritual ether is astonishingly strong. What level of qigong is he cultivating? Everyone was dumbfounded. They were all shocked by the martial arts skills that Xia Ping had displayed. It was beyond their imagination. Even some martial arts masters were speechless. How could these people know that Xia Ping was a sixth-layer martial master on the surface, but he cultivated the pure yang immortal art? The density of his true essence was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. He also possessed the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell and had refined countless cells of the Golden Crow of Hell. He was as strong as a young divine beast. How could an ordinary LV6 martial master compare to him? In terms of pure strength, even an ordinary ninth heaven martial master was only SOSO. Not to mention the fact that he had executed a peerless king-grade martial skill, completely unleashing his full strength. With just a wave of his hand, he had beaten the three Lin brothers like dead dogs, instantly eliminating them from the competition. At this time, Xia Ping felt the true essence in his body shake. After the fierce battle, the medicinal efficacy within his body had been refined a bit, and a massive amount of true essence immediately gushed out from the depths of his dantian. Bang! Suddenly, a meridian was instantly broken. The true essence in his body increased greatly. It flowed between his meridians like a river, constantly vibrating and cleansing his muscles and bones. Up until now, he had broken through a total of 7 meridians. 5 more meridians and he would be able to advance to the LV7 Martial Master realm. At this time, before Xia Ping could celebrate for long, a terrifying pressure suddenly came from afar. A huge object fell from the sky like a meteorite. He looked up and was shocked to see a huge man who was 2-3 meters tall leaping over from a building in the distance. He was carrying a huge black hammer that looked extremely heavy. Yinhuang University Xia Ping actually killed the 3 Lin brothers. You have some ability, but in front of me, Heavy Hammer Li Hu, you are just trash. Your points belong to me now. The huge man laughed loudly. His eyes revealed a trace of ferocity, and his body emitted a terrifying murderous aura. The huge black hammer that weighed thousands of kilograms was as light as a goose feather in his hand. With a bang, the huge black hammer fell from the sky and smashed towards Xia Ping. This hammer was like a small black mountain crushing down. The surrounding air was quickly pushed away, forming a vacuum. It had clearly not reached the ground. However, the entire ground was shaken by the strong wind, and hundreds of cracks appeared. The entire top floor of the building seemed to be unable to withstand this force and creaked. Xia Ping also felt this terrifying chi strength, as if his body had been increased by 10 times the gravity, as if a small mountain was crushing on his shoulders. If it was an ordinary martial artist, just this chi strength alone would make them unable to move. Expert. This Heavy Hammer Li Hu was definitely an incredible expert. He had already reached the peak of the LV8 Martial Master realm, and was several times more terrifying than the 3 Lin brothers. Just with this kind of innate divine strength, even an ordinary LV9 Martial Master realm expert would be beaten to death by his hammer. Immovable Buddha Palm 4th style. Buddha carries the pagoda. At this moment, Xia Ping circulated the qigong in his body, and the force of his body burst out. He took a step forward, and the true essence on his body vibrated, emitting a large amount of golden light. He stretched out his hand. This was simply like a Buddha attacking, holding a heavy pagoda in his hand. The void trembled, and in an instant 108,000 mountains were lifted up, containing boundless power. Bang! The force of the heavy hammer collided with the power of the Buddha. It was like a comet hitting the earth, and a terrifying force erupted. The force of the collision swept in all directions, affecting a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers. The glass of the building was immediately shattered, and even when the force of the collision swept past, large holes were formed. A building in the distance was even cut in half by the force of the wind, as if it had been cut by a sword, falling from the sky. When Xia Ping's feet landed on the ground, a huge crater was blasted out. Cracks spread out like a spider web, and the gravel cracked and shattered into powder. However, this unparalleled hammer strike was still blocked by Xia Ping. How is this possible? You can actually block my mountain-splitting hammer and not even spit out blood? Could it be that your strength is comparable to mine? The huge man Li Hu stared with his eyes wide open. Ever since he was born he had terrifying strength. At the age of 7 he could carry a cauldron, and at the age of 10 he could tear tigers and leopards apart. Now his strength was even more terrifying, like a dragon. When the hammer came down, no one could block it. If it was light, they would be seriously injured, and if it was heavy, they would be turned into a pile of meat paste. With this strength, he was invincible. But now, this was only the preliminaries, and there was actually someone who could block his hammer and even come out unscathed. Chapter 575. You must be joking. Seeing this scene, a student from Tianjin University couldn't help but shout, "Li Hu has the bloodline of the mighty Tiger King. His strength alone is enough to fight against the Elephant Clan. Even a small mountain can be destroyed by one hammer. In Tianjin University, he is simply a giant tower that can't be surpassed. This kid can actually block Li Hu's hammer and come out unscathed." He couldn't believe his eyes. The other audience members were also dumbfounded. They knew how terrifying that hammer was. The power of that hammer could even flatten a small mountain. But now Xiaoping had blocked it with his bare hands. This was a little scary. Didn't that mean that this kid could fight against Li Hu in terms of strength? But how could these people know that Xiaoping's current strength was terrifying? After fusing with the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline, he was simply like a young divine beast. How could a mere Li Hu be his opponent? If he waited until he fused with all of his bloodlines, he would probably turn Li Hu into ashes with a single breath. "Damn, I don't believe that you can block a few more of my hammers." Li Hu was completely enraged by Xiaoping's move. His ferocious nature was aroused. His entire body emitted a ruthless aura. He clenched the giant hammer tightly, his veins popping out and his muscles bulging. Mountain-splitting hammer, profound art. One hammer to crush a mountain. Boom. At this instant, the giant Li Hu leaped up and slammed his gigantic black hammer down from the sky, causing the air to explode. The terrifying pressure of the hammer seemed to be able to crush a small mountain into smithereens with just the pressure of the hammer alone. The power of this hammer was extremely terrifying. It seemed that he had used up all of his strength. The mighty Tiger King's bloodline was completely activated. Indistinctly, a ferocious tiger appeared behind him, roaring at the sky. The surrounding audience couldn't imagine what would happen if they were to receive this hammer. Perhaps just the pressure alone would be enough to crush them into meat paste. "How many hammers? You want to compete with me in strength? Do you know that you're overestimating yourself?" Xiaoping immediately laughed. He operated the Qigong in his body, and his aura suddenly rose. Myriad Beast Fist 7th style, Giant Elephant Axe. He took a step forward. His entire body was like an ancient giant elephant. At this moment, the surrounding air seemed to boil and be pushed away. With his body as the center, there seemed to be a vacuum zone with a diameter of 3 meters. His right hand turned into an elephant's trunk, his left hand turned into an elephant's tail, and his body turned into a giant elephant's trunk. His feet sounded like an elephant's trumpet as he roared at the sky, causing the ground to crack inch by inch. Dong. Immediately, a terrifyingly huge axe materialized. Chapter 576. Die for me. Li Hu smiled ferociously and waved the giant hammer. Layers of hammer shadows appeared in the void. Each hammer contained the power of thousands of jin. Once hit, ordinary martial artists would immediately turn into a ball of meat sauce. Even through the screen, the audience felt the suffocating pressure, as if they would die if they were hit by a hammer, and they could not resist it at all. Ha! Xiaoping wanted to make a move and punch the giant hammer away, but at this moment 5 or 6 cold lights flew in the distance, each of them extremely fast, breaking through the sound barrier. Even its trajectory was winding like a spirit snake, aiming at every vital part of him, as long as he dared to attack Li Hu, he would immediately be pierced through the heart. Whoosh! Xiaoping's figure flickered. He used the Kunpeng step. His feet created a phantom. He moved in this area and dodged these flying knives and hidden weapons in an instant. With a few bangs, these flying knives pierced through several buildings in succession. Rubble splashed everywhere, showing terrifying destructive power. It is estimated that even if someone is wearing steel armor, they will be pierced by this flying knife. Good opportunity. Seeing this scene, Li Hu's eyes revealed a trace of a cold light. He was an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. It was unknown how many battles he had experienced, so he instantly caught the flaw that Xiaoping had revealed when he dodged. Boom. His hammer smashed over, like a small mountain crushing down, smashing into Xiaoping's body. The surrounding air exploded, crackling. Xiaoping punched out and collided with the black giant hammer. The two flood-like forces collided with each other and immediately blasted a big hole in the roof, sending rubble everywhere. Both of them retreated a dozen steps because of the force of the collision, and their blood boiled. Xiao. However, the Huang family disciple who secretly attacked was unforgiving. A flying knife shot over like a poisonous snake, accurately seized a gap and fiercely smashed into Xiaoping's body. Dark North Body Protection Art. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a cold light. He operated the qigong in his body and suddenly condensed it into a tai chi circle, covering a meter around his body, forming an air shield. With a bang, this flying knife attacked, containing incomparable penetrating power, fiercely blasted on the air shield, constantly rotating, frantically destroying the power of the air shield. Damn it! Xia Ping's feet retreated again and again as he continuously deflected the destructive power and ferocious force of the flying daggers. He only stopped after leaving a mark that was dozens of meters long on the ground. Even if the flying knife did not pierce the defense of Dark North's body protection technique, the shock still made his blood boil, and there was a taste of blood clots in his internal organs. Too strong. The cooperation between Li Hu and the Huang family's disciples is simply a match made in heaven. It's perfect. One is the main attacker and his strength is invincible. The other is a support assassin looking for gaps. If this kid is careless, he will be killed instantly. He doesn't even have the strength to fight back. As the saying goes, a prolonged defense is bound to be lost. Right now he can still resist, but after a few dozen more moves, Xia Ping's Zhenyuan will weaken, and his blood will be exhausted. At that time he will definitely die. How do we block it? There's no way to block it. One is born with divine strength, the other is unparalleled in assassination. Both of them are geniuses. When the two of them join forces, it's not as simple as 1 + 1. It's simply a geometric effect. I estimate that even 2 or 3 experts at the 9th level of martial master won't be able to defeat the two of them. The surrounding audience were all amazed. They had seen a battle between top geniuses. It was not something that ordinary warriors could compare to. Every move contained fatal killing intent. If Xia Ping was only dealing with one, he still had a chance of winning. But now that he was dealing with 2 at the same time, he was courting death. Let's see how long you can last. Li Hu was unforgiving. He waved the giant hammer in his hand and attacked. He did not intend to give Xia Ping any chance to catch his breath. That person hiding in the distance is too troublesome. I have to kill him. Xia Ping's chest was filled with monstrous killing intent. Originally, he wanted to get rid of Li Hu and then slowly deal with the person who tried to assassinate him with the flying knife. But now it seemed that the guy was too unscrupulous. It was estimated that the kid thought that he was extremely safe hiding 2 or 3 kilometers away, so he unscrupulously dealt with him. But he had to tell the kid that he was wrong, and he was very wrong. Found him. He operated his left eye, infernal golden crow's eye. A flame seemed to be burning in the depths of his pupil. His dynamic vision increased crazily, and he even had the power to see through any wall. The surrounding scenery kept expanding and zooming in, like a 3-dimensional image. In just a second he found a short man in black clothes hiding in a building 3 kilometers away. The man was staring at him like a tiger watching its prey. He seemed to be very proud of himself, as if victory was already in his grasp. Boom! Xia Ping grabbed with his big hand. The true ether in his body vibrated, and a thick power surged from the depths of his blood. Every cell in his body was trembling. Suddenly, he grabbed a mass of air in his hand and compressed it crazily. Slowly, an energy ball the size of a watermelon appeared in his right hand, spinning crazily in his palm. Supreme martial art, head-piercing 7 arrows art. His mental strength seeped into this ball and fused with it, reaching the realm of human and human as one. This was the 3rd level of the head-piercing 7 arrows art. Even if there were no hidden weapons, he could still operate his true ether and instantly condense it. Swish! At this moment, Xia Ping was like a primordial god. He took a step forward and smashed the watermelon-sized ball in his hand toward the building. Such a ball tore through the air, breaking through 5 times the speed of sound. It only took a moment for it to reach the building. What? Suddenly, the disciple of the Huang family was still looking complacent, staring at Xia Ping, looking for fatal flaws. He thought that he was incomparably safe and could assassinate Xia Ping at any time. But he didn't expect that at this moment the kid actually formed a ball of air and smashed a mass of energy at him. The speed was so fast that the disciple's nerves couldn't react in time. Moreover, this ball was not an ordinary energy ball. It condensed true ether and air together and compressed them crazily. Countless molecules collided violently. This was simply a nuclear bomb. Once it exploded, it would be earth-shattering. Run! This thought immediately appeared in the mind of the disciple of the Huang family. His body acted as if it was instinct, and he jumped toward the building. Boom! But it was too late. The ball instantly smashed in front of the building and exploded in an instant, turning the sky and earth upside down. Several floors were blown to pieces. Even the entire building completely collapsed because of the explosion. Like a domino, it collapsed one after another, and large pieces of reinforced concrete fell to the ground. Chapter 577. Bang Bang Bang. The descendant of the Huang family was sent flying and smashed into the cement road. Because of the extremely strong shockwave of the explosion, he was sent skidding across the ground for hundreds of meters. Even his skin was scratched and he was covered in blood. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Xiaoping. The disciples of the Huang clan roared towards the sky, incomparably resentful. Their eyes were filled with resentment. When had the people of the Huang clan ever been so miserable? It had always been them hiding in the shadows, plotting against their enemies everywhere. But now he was still hit by the kid's attack from 3 kilometers away. He was blown up like a dead dog and even his internal organs were severely injured. To the Huang family this was a great humiliation. He swore that he would definitely take revenge and humiliate this kid. Only then would he be able to vent the hatred in his heart. Hatred? It's just the sorrowful cry of a stray dog. But do you think you can still take revenge? You won't have the chance. Xiaoping could naturally hear the roar of grief and indignation, as well as the anger contained in it. But he didn't care at all because he had long since decided to kill this kid. After plotting against him, he still wanted to stay. That was simply a dream. Boom. In that instant, Xiaoping made a grabbing motion with his hand. The surrounding air vibrated and condensed. In an instant, a hellish spear appeared in his right hand, emitting a terrifying aura of hell. The spear was engraved with dense and mysterious runes, as if it was burning with the flames of hell. Anyone who saw this spear would feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if this was a weapon used by demons from hell. Who knew how many people had died and how much blood had been sucked from it? Stop. Li Hu also saw this scene. As a martial artist, his instincts immediately sensed the danger of this move of Xiaoping's. It could completely threaten the life of the descendant of the Huang family. If the descendant of the Huang family was killed by Xiaoping and eliminated, he would be the only one left. He wouldn't be a match for this kid at all, and could only flee in a sorry state. Whoosh! He strode forward like a ferocious tiger pouncing on Xiaoping. His giant hammer was in the air, trying to block Xiaoping's attack. Stop my ass. Do you think a tramp like you can stop me? Get lost. Xiaoping cursed angrily, and a terrifying aura erupted from all of his pores. Every single one of his hell cells erupted with vast power, and the shadow of a golden crow of hell seemed to appear behind him. He slapped out with his palm and the huge palm solidified. King tier superior grade martial skill, clapless palm. What? When Li Hu saw this scene, his face turned green. That palm seemed to have pierced through the void, ignoring the distance between them. It was silent and without any heat. It just slammed down just like that. However, the power contained in this palm was not something that an ordinary move could compare to. This method had condensed all the power into the palm, not letting any of it leak out. With a dong sound, Li Hu immediately let out a shrill scream. His body was hit by the palm and he was pushed back repeatedly. In an instant he was sent flying like a piece of trash. Just like that, his body flew out of the building and smashed through 5 or 6 walls. Finally he fell on the wall of a building. His body was spread out and a large amount of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Li Hu, the Huang family disciple in the distance, also saw this scene. His hair stood on end, and he felt as if he was being targeted by an unparalleled beast. Even though he was 2 to 3 kilometers away, he did not feel safe at all. Run, run. The Huang family disciple was so scared that his face turned green. He used the Huang family's supreme movement technique, Huang family's cloud ladder. His entire body was like a wisp of green smoke, riding on the clouds, and he quickly escaped. As one of the strongest hidden weapon clans in the human race, they naturally knew their strengths and weaknesses. They knew that once they were approached they would be in danger. Therefore they obtained a supreme movement technique. Once an enemy approached, they could use their movement technique to constantly pull away from the enemy. This way they would be invincible. And the Huang family's cloud ladder was such a supreme movement technique. If they used it, it was as if they were free from gravity. They could use the sky as a ladder and move freely with extreme speed. Even a flying bird would not be able to catch up to them. This was the Huang family's special treasure. However, no matter how powerful this movement technique was, how could it compare to the head-nailing 7 arrows technique? Once this technique was cultivated to the extreme, it could practically ignore space. Even if they were tens of thousands of li away, they could still nail the enemy to death. Even if it was only the third level, the head-nailing 7 arrows technique's hidden energy weapons could not be compared to a human speed. Its speed was practically equivalent to a super spaceship. Kill? Xiaoping's eyes were filled with killing intent. He gripped the energy spear tightly and threw it. It was like he was shooting at the sun. He wanted to nail the sun to pieces. Whoosh! The spear flew out at a speed 8 times faster than the speed of sound. It was so fast that the human eye could not follow it. It tore through the air, creating a sharp sound. All the glass within a 5-kilometer radius shattered under this sharp sound. The surrounding martial artists couldn't help but cover their ears and circulate their qigong to protect their lungs. Otherwise, they would be shaken by this sound wave and be completely injured, coughing up blood. Damn it. Faster. Faster. A little faster. The disciple of the Huang family went all out. He gritted his teeth and his face turned red. He madly circulated his qigong. 108,000 pores on his body emitted flames. This was a flame produced by his extreme speed. Right now, he was like an engine that was running too fast. He was almost pushing his speed to the extreme. His body generated air currents around him as he fled into the distance. There was no doubt that even a peak martial master expert would not be able to catch up to him. However, in front of 8 times faster than the speed of sound, his speed was still too slow. He was as slow as a snail. Dong. At this moment, the spear fell from the sky. It arrived in an instant like a meteorite. It carried a terrifying power and ruthlessly bombarded the body of the disciple of the Huang family. No. The disciple's face turned pale. He felt that his body was no longer under his control. The energy spear pierced through his abdomen without hesitation and injured his internal organs. This powerful force even sent his body flying for 2 kilometers. Finally, his body was ruthlessly nailed to the wall of a building. Blood dripped down and dyed the smooth wall red. With a bang, a huge pit immediately appeared on the wall of the building. Cracks were densely packed and extended everywhere. It seemed that the whole building was about to collapse after such an impact. When the wind blew, it seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Large amounts of rubble rolled down, making a crashing sound. Boom. Chapter 578. Damn it. Seeing that the disciple of the Huang family was killed by a spear, Li Hu's face turned extremely ugly. He knew that his greatest helper was gone. If he continued to stay here, he would probably die. With a bang, he struggled out of the rubble and quickly fled into the distance. Trying to escape? On the 100-story building, Xiaoping saw Li Hu's back as he fled on the street. His eyes flashed with a cold light and a deep killing intent surged out. He would definitely not let this kid escape. Boom. At this moment, he directly jumped down from the sky. A 100-story building was at least 300 to 400 meters high. Under the effect of gravity, the speed of falling was simply unimaginable. Even if a monster fell, it would be smashed into meat paste. When he saw such a height, he was frightened and did not dare to act rashly. Even when he saw Master Qiushua fall from the sky on the Beast Island, he was shocked and felt that it was an unimaginable power that ordinary people would never be able to reach in their lifetime. But now Xiaoping was no longer an ordinary person. He had already advanced to the 6th level of the martial master realm. The power of the true essence he controlled was many times stronger than before. Even though he was hundreds of meters high in the sky, he could not make him retreat at all. Whoosh! In an instant, a pair of wings appeared on his back. They constantly flapped and controlled the airflow, instantly slowing down the speed of his body's fall. He could even use the airflow to fly crazily. What? Li Hu was taken aback. He felt a terrifying killing intent coming from behind him. When he turned around, he saw Xiaoping falling from a height of several hundred meters like a meteor. Xiaoping's aura locked onto Li Hu's aura. Damn it. He gritted his teeth and operated the bloodline in his body. Like a ferocious tiger, he tried to escape. But it was too late. The speed of Xiaoping's fall was too fast. From the top floor to the ground, it only took a few seconds. In midair, he operated the qigong in his body and punched through the air. Boom. This punch was like a flood, destroying everything. The surrounding air trembled crazily, like the roar of 100 beasts. Even wherever the punch went, the air was pushed away, forming a vacuum zone. And now, Li Hu was already seriously injured. Previously, his lungs were severely injured by Xiaoping's palm. Right now, he could not even use 30% of his strength. Dragging such a seriously injured body, how could he withstand this punch? Dong. Li Hu was caught off guard. His chest took the full brunt of the punch and he was sent flying. A terrifying force invaded his lungs and he could not help but let out a shrill scream. With a whoosh, he turned into a ray of white light and was instantly teleported out of this space. Li Hu eliminated. Xia Ping also landed on the ground. In an instant, a deep crater with a diameter of tens of meters appeared on the ground. The ground cracked and a huge gale swept in all directions, causing a huge tremor to spread for several kilometers. However, when this force of impact reached his body, it was quickly neutralized by the muscles all over his body. Layer by layer, it did not harm his body at all. When the spectators in the live streaming channel saw this, all of them were dumbfounded. Some of them were even speechless. It can't be right? He lost? Even though Li Hu and the Huang family disciples joined hands, they were actually killed on the spot. In the end, they couldn't even escape. Isn't this a little too monstrous? Someone could not help but cry out. One had to know what kind of person Li Hu was, and what kind of person was the Huang family disciple. One was extremely strong, born with divine strength, and had the bloodline of the king tiger. At the age of 10, he could tear tigers and leopards apart with his bare hands. He was extremely ferocious. As for the Huang family disciple, he was born in one of the strongest hidden weapons families. He was proficient in flying knives and hidden weapons. He could kill enemies from a few kilometers away. He could be said to be a hidden weapons master of his generation. Once someone was targeted by him, there was absolutely no reason for him to survive. But now, the two experts joined hands and they were even at the 8th heaven of martial master realm, but they were actually no match for this kid. They were beaten to death and they couldn't even escape. This was a little shocking. He's clearly only at the 6th heaven of martial master realm, but he's actually this strong? If this continues, he won't really be able to pass the preliminaries, right? If that's the case, where are we going to put our faces? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Such an arrogant person can pass the preliminaries. Is there still justice in this world? If this kind of person passes the preliminaries, I'm afraid his nose will rise to the sky. I don't know how arrogant he will be at that time. Maybe he won't even put the kings in his eyes. Many of the spectators were gnashing their teeth. They were all very angry with Xia Ping. They thought that he was nothing more than an arrogant and shameless person who didn't have the strength to pass the preliminaries. But now, he had actually defeated two great experts with his own hands. If this were to continue with this kid's strength, it would be a sure thing for him to advance to the qualifiers. But the more it was like this, the more they were unwilling and the more they were unwilling. All of them wanted to see Xia Ping defeated. They wanted to see this kid cry bitterly and look miserable. When Feng Hatong and the others saw this situation, their noses almost rose to the sky. They were incomparably proud and immediately went up to ridicule. So what if you're unwilling? Continue to hold it in. Just a bunch of illiterates. If you want to defeat my big brother, go back and study for a few more years. I said that you're weak and you don't want to admit it. Your pride is very strong. Now you've all come to challenge us, but you've all been beaten like dogs. Let me ask you, how can these pieces of trash compare to my big brother? I'm not bragging, but even if these pieces of trash come together, they won't be a match for my big brother with one hand. You're exaggerating. How can they compare to my big brother's one finger? No, it should be a leg hair. Just you wait. My big brother might be the champion of this genius battle and step on the heads of you illiterates. When that time comes, you won't even dare to make a sound when I shit or pee. How can you say that it's fragrant? The group of people from the Pingtian sect was proud and in a good mood. They also sighed in their hearts. As expected of their big brother. His martial arts strength was a complete mess. Even in the genius battle, not many people were their big brother's match. He was invincible. It was likely that he would pass the preliminaries. Trash from Yanhuang University, don't be too proud. Li Hu and the others are just ordinary experts. The real top geniuses haven't appeared yet. That's right. When the real monsters come out, this Xia Ping will be a pile of shit. He's only defeated a few ordinary people, but he's already so arrogant. Will he die if he doesn't act so arrogantly? He even bragged that he's the champion of this genius battle. If he really becomes the champion, I'll cut up a big bird on a live broadcast. Yeah, I'll cut him up too. Many of the audience were furious. They wanted to cross the screen and beat up these lackeys of Xia Ping. If it wasn't for these people stirring up trouble here, they wouldn't be so angry. Chapter 579. Why isn't anyone attacking me? Xia Ping walked on the street. He found that after more than 10 minutes, there didn't seem to be many people attacking him. The street was extremely quiet. Even if someone passed by and saw him, they would be so scared that their faces turned pale. They quickly ran away as if they wished their parents had given them more legs. It was likely that these contestants were afraid when they saw him defeat Li Hu and the Huang family's disciples with ease. They didn't dare to fight him at all. They were even worried that they would become his targets. The strength he displayed was too strong and it would make many people afraid. This won't do. If this continues, how can I hone my martial arts? I have to force this group of people out. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Since this group of people didn't want to deal with him, he would deal with them. As the saying goes, if the mountain doesn't come, I'll go. Boom! Xia Ping circulated the qigong in his body and grabbed with both hands. True essence immediately surged out. Flames gathered together and quickly condensed into a fireball. This fireball was extremely huge, about the size of a watermelon. Flames slowly rotated inside the fireball, like a small sun, emitting a scorching aura. Go! Xia Ping threw the fireball at a nearby high-rise building with one hand. Suddenly the fireball exploded, destroying the entire floor and razing it to the ground. And because the foundation of the building was destroyed, it immediately collapsed. Large pieces of rubble fell from the sky, and the entire building soon collapsed. But this was only the beginning. Along the way, Xia Ping threw huge fireballs, crazily destroying the surrounding high-rise buildings. The buildings collapsed one after another, and huge cracks appeared on the ground, causing violent tremors. The reason why he did this was not without reason. Because these high-rise buildings were hiding contestants. They wouldn't come out unless it was necessary. But now that Xia Ping had destroyed the entire building and destroyed their lair, these people had to come out even if they didn't want to, unless they wanted to die. Fuck, which son of a bitch is so immoral? I was hiding here and didn't make any enemies, but now the entire building has been destroyed. How can I rest? Suddenly, someone jumped out of a collapsed building. His face was covered in dust and his clothes were stained with a lot of rubble. He obviously didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. He was originally safe and sound, but someone actually started to tear down the building for no reason. It was too ridiculous. No one would do such a thing. After all, tearing down buildings for no reason would consume a lot of quintessential essence. Once most of one's quintessential essence was consumed, one would be targeted by others. At that time, one would not know how to write the word death. Only someone like Xia Ping, whose true essence was so vigorous that it was a complete mess, simply did not care about the consumption of true essence, and could instantly restore true essence, would dare to do such a thing. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. He was not the only one. Along the way many buildings collapsed. Many warriors frantically ran out of these buildings. They were so scared that their faces turned green. They were almost buried alive. After all, they had been quietly hiding in these high-rise buildings, meditating cross-legged, aloof from worldly affairs, cultivating in seclusion and conserving their energy. Who would have thought that disaster would descend from the sky? Someone had torn down the entire building, making it impossible for them to hide? Look, it's that son of a bitch who did it. Someone immediately noticed Xia Ping's existence. This was because this guy was still quickly condensing fireballs and throwing them at the surrounding buildings. One by one the buildings were blown up and in a few breaths the entire area was turned into ruins. The surroundings were filled with fire and there were ruins everywhere. It was as if the old summer palace was on fire, and everything was destroyed. Looking at this bastard's appearance, he was simply a demon king of destruction. Killing and arson had become a habit. Stop immediately. What the hell are you doing here? Someone immediately jumped over and came in front of Xia Ping, and suddenly shouted. Many warriors also rushed over, glaring angrily at Xia Ping. They simply wanted to eat him alive. What else can I do? Is there something wrong with your head? Or are you blind? Can't you see that I'm tearing down the building? Xia Ping squinted and looked at this group of people with a look of contempt. He felt that there was something wrong with their IQ. Tear down my ass. Hearing that this kid still dared to admit it, someone was so angry that smoke came out of his nose. Is there something wrong with your fucking head? You have nothing better to do all day and come here to tear down the building. Hurry up and stop. He glared at Xia Ping angrily and could not help but clench his fists. Do you know how wicked this behavior is? Are you trying to anger the public? If you have nothing better to do, go and behave atrociously elsewhere. Don't mess around here. If you still dare to mess around here, be careful that we won't be polite to you. We haven't even provoked you yet, but you're already starting to be presumptuous here and behave atrociously everywhere. Even Buddha has fire, do you know that? A group of warriors gritted their teeth, and their bodies revealed a murderous aura. Previously they saw that Xia Ping's strength was extremely powerful. Even experts like Li Hu were not a match for him. Fear grew in their hearts, so they did not step forward to provoke him casually. They wanted to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. However, they did not expect that even though they wanted to avoid the sharp edge, this kid did not want to let them have an easy time. He actually began to fight at their door and destroyed all the surrounding buildings. This was clearly an attempt to make all of them his enemy. The people in the live stream were in an uproar when they saw this scene. They felt that this kid Xia Ping's brain had really gone haywire. To do such a reckless and stupid thing, was it not obvious that he was provoking the public? Once this group of warriors became angry and everyone joined forces, how could this kid survive? So what if I'm presumptuous? So what if I provoke you? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked down on the world. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but even if I shit and pee on your heads, you won't dare to say a word. Let me ask you, do you believe me? What? Hearing this, the group of warriors were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Their faces turned green. Initially they were still afraid of this kid's strength and did not dare to act rashly. However, now that they heard these words, how could they hold it in? If they did not teach this kid a lesson today, where would they put their faces? Would they even have any face left? Too arrogant, too condescending. Let's go together and kill him. The dozens of participants were furious. It was the kind of anger that could not be contained. They could not suppress the anger in their hearts at all, and a terrifying aura exploded from their bodies. With their bodies as the center, it seemed to have formed a terrifying aura. The tremors caused huge pits to appear under their feet, and cracks spread out for a few kilometers. Whoosh! Chapter 580. It's over, this kid is completely finished. Provoking public anger, it would be strange if he could survive. Dozens of people against one, even if this kid has wings, he can't fly out. He deserves it for being arrogant. It seems that there is no need to come to the second round. Now the qualifier will eliminate this kid. It's good to be eliminated. I don't want to see this arrogant bastard continue to show off here. Many spectators shook their heads, thinking that Xia Ping was dead this time. Facing the attack of dozens of powerful martial masters, even a peak martial master expert was no match at all. As the saying goes, 2 fists can't fight 4 hands, which shows the importance of numbers. Once the number of people formed a scale, no matter how powerful they would be completely defeated. Moreover, this group of people were not ordinary people. All of them were geniuses who had advanced to the martial master realm, which was even more terrifying. Being besieged by so many people, it was estimated that even the pride of the king family would be scared to the point of turning green. Rumble, in an instant, dozens of contestants attacked at the same time, each showing a powerful Qigong cultivation, at least in the 5th heaven of martial master realm, and also mastered king-level Qigong. As soon as they attacked, dozens of different terrifying forces bombarded through the air, some soft, some hard, some entangling, some cold, some hot, and so on. But the power of each force was enough to smash a small mountain. The power was tyrannical, and ordinary people could not resist it at all. Now these forces gathered together, it was like a tide, enough to drown everything. Dark North Body Protection Technique. At this moment, Xia Ping stepped forward, his hands turned into a circle like Tai Chi, his left hand stretched out, his right hand pulled back like 2 levels of heaven and earth, his body formed an air shield like flowing water. Bang bang bang. Dozens of forces attacked like flood dragons, but when they touched Xia Ping's air shield, they were immediately pulled out and bombarded in another direction. It was as if at this moment, Xia Ping's martial arts realm had reached the strength stage, playing with these attacks in the palm of his hand. With his body as the center, a spiral airflow was produced, and all the power attacking his body would be rotated out, unable to hit his body at all. Damn, not good. Our attack was reflected. Hide, quickly hide for me. Instantly the faces of the competitors fell. As martial masters, their instincts told them that they were in mortal danger. Their vengeful attacks had been deflected by this brat's mysterious Qigong. In other words, they would have to face their own terrifying attacks as if they were fighting against themselves. Bang bang bang. In the blink of an eye, the energy returned to their bodies. The air trembled continuously, producing a crazy explosion. In an instant, the group of contestants was sent flying. Some forcibly resisted, but they also coughed up blood on the spot, their chi and blood surging. Some of them were caught off guard and were sent flying, scraping across the ground for dozens of meters. Some people reacted quickly and dodged in time, avoiding this fatal blow. However, most of the people were unable to react in time and were heavily injured in an instant. They were in an incomparably sorry state. Cracks appeared on the ground as kacha sounds rang out and crushed stones flew in all directions. Why don't you try out my pure yang indestructible incantation? Xia Ping took a step forward and madly circulated his qigong. The true essence in the depths of his dantian boiled like lava, and his heart shone like the sun. At this moment, wisps of dark red flames emerged from the depths of his 108,000 pores. It was as if his entire body had turned into a super flaming man at this moment. The flames even distorted the air, faintly producing a strange phenomenon behind him. The flames condensed into a giant flaming bird, which threw its head back and let out a long cry, causing the sound waves to reverberate. At this moment, the temperature rose by dozens of degrees, hundreds of degrees, and even thousands of degrees. Dark red flames dripped down from his body, corroding the ground and making sizzling sounds. In an instant, the ground was turned into a ball of lava, and even the steel melted into a pile of molten iron. This kind of flame was enough to burn down the entire world. What a freak! What kind of fire qigong is this? King low grade, mid grade, high grade. Could it be peerless king grade? This kind of flame is too terrifying. It's like a god of fire. A drop of flame on the ground turned into lava. This is a bit exaggerated. You can't fight it head on. If you touch it, you'll die. Hurry up and dodge. When the competitors saw this, they were scared out of their wits. Their legs were shaking like sieves. This kind of flame burned like the essence of the sun, with a temperature of over 1,000 degrees. If they dared to touch it, their bodies would probably melt. Go. Xia Ping punched out, his psychic power fusing into every wisp of flame. It was as if he had become one with heaven and earth, and all the power of fire was under his control. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The moment he blasted out, the flames erupted and quickly condensed into many flaming divine birds that flew in all directions, attacking each and every participant with incomparable precision. Just as these flaming birds were about to reach the competitors, under his psychic control, they exploded. Bang bang bang. In an instant, the competitors had no way to dodge and were all blown away. It was as if they had come into contact with a ton of explosives. The power was earth-shattering. In an instant, the power tore apart their energy shields, and the flames even invaded their bodies, turning them into flaming people. Some people hurriedly used their qigong to try to extinguish the flames, but it was useless. Instead, the more they used their qigong, the more fierce the flames became, and they burned even more fiercely. In a few breaths, they were turned into flaming people, and the air seemed to be filled with the smell of burning. They were about to be roasted. In the next second, the group of people turned into balls of white light, and quickly flew away, teleported away from this place. Go to hell. Xia Ping punched out again and again, like a tiger in a flock of sheep. Countless flaming fist prints appeared in the air, each of them strong enough to shake mountains, and contained unparalleled power. The competitors screamed again and again. When they were hit by the fist prints, if their lungs were not injured, they would be burned. All of them were extremely miserable, and in a few breaths they had lost the ability to fight and were eliminated. They turned into white light and quickly left the place. An hour later, dozens, even hundreds of competitors were all crippled and completely eliminated. The entire place, with a radius of several kilometers, was razed to the ground. Tall buildings collapsed, turning into ruins, and huge deep pits appeared on the ground. From time to time, lava would come out, flames would rise, and thick smoke would billow. And the person standing there was only Xia Ping. Chapter 581. In the live broadcast room. When Feng Hatong and the others saw this scene, all of them cheered, extremely excited. Haha, as expected of Big Brother. Those illiterates are no match for Big Brother. Some idiots thought that Big Brother would fail and be eliminated. Little did they know that they were dreaming. How can a bunch of illiterates fight? Don't tell me that a bunch of ants working together can defeat an elephant? What are you talking about? I can stomp a bunch of them to death. Looks like Big Brother is indeed invincible. He'll soon dominate the cloud realm and stand out. He might even become a king. Haha, our status will rise along with the tide. At that time, wouldn't we be able to scare those lowlifes to the point of pissing their pants and trembling in fear when we announce boss name? Keep a low profile. If we stand out too much, people will think we're arrogant. The people of the Pingtian Gate were proud. Xia Ping's battle had shocked countless people. He had defeated hundreds of opponents with a wave of his hand. No matter where he was, he could be called a genius. Such an impressive battle record. Come on out. Did anyone jump out and say something? Feng Hatang shouted. There were people who said that my big brother was dead for sure, and that he would be beaten up by these angry contestants and be eliminated. All of them quoted the classics and spoke so logically that I almost believed them. What about now? What's the situation? Are there any grandmasters who can analyze what's going on? Did those people take money? That's why Big Brother defeated them with a wave of his hand. Damn fatty bastard. Everyone's faces turned green when they heard this. They saw that Xia Ping was at a disadvantage and thought that he would lose for sure. They all quoted scriptures and various martial theories to say that this kid would lose without a doubt. There were even grandmasters who came out to prove it. But now the situation was reversed. Xia Ping had won with a great advantage. This result slapped the faces of these theoretical experts swollen. They felt that it was very unreasonable. At this time many people who looked down on Xia Ping shut their mouths. They didn't dare to say anything for fear of being beaten up. Even so, some people gritted their teeth. They felt that Xia Ping's lackeys were extremely thick-skinned. They didn't see how arrogant they were just now. How dare they say that they were low-key? How shameless. Invincible my ass. If he's invincible with such strength, where are the other geniuses? Some people felt sullen inside, unwilling to accept this, immediately cursing loudly. Although this kid had defeated so many experts and his strength was absolutely tyrannical, bragging that he was already invincible in the world was really too shameless. Even a laser cannon couldn't penetrate it. The medicinal power in the depths of his body was being refined like crazy, and a large amount of true essence energy surged out. It came out from the depths of his dantian and churned like lava. Then it flowed through his dantian and into his countless meridians like a river. When this true essence rose to the limit, he felt his body swell and his meridians couldn't hold it anymore. Bang bang bang. At this moment, Xia Ping's body emitted waves of tiger and leopard roars. Like a flood bursting through a dam, 3 of his meridians were broken in an instant. Immediately, the true essence in his body increased crazily. With his body as the center, a strong aura was immediately generated, covering a radius of several kilometers, rolling up a large amount of dust. The wind howled around him and the divine birds cried. It was a shocking scene. A deep crater was formed on the ground, crackling and densely packed with cracks. Sure enough, fighting is the fastest shortcut to cultivation. Xia Ping clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. He felt the strong strength of his muscles and the unfathomable true essence. If he were to meditate and cultivate, it would take at least a few months to break through a few meridians steadily. However, in a life-and-death battle with an enemy, under the strong pressure, his potential was rapidly developed, and his true essence was rapidly increased. Then breaking through was as easy as drinking water. Moreover, he also felt that his body had been greatly tempered, and his spiritual force had also increased a little. His control over his body and strength had also become more exquisite. He had made great progress. Just this day alone was comparable to a few months of cultivation. The benefits were endless. Looks like I have to continue to find trouble with others. Xia Ping's blood was boiling, and his eyes were filled with endless battle intent. He could feel that he was not far from breaking through to the 7th heaven of Martial Master. Maybe when the preliminaries were about to end, he would be able to reach the 7th heaven of Martial Master and reach the advanced Martial Master realm. By then, he would have the absolute power to compete with many geniuses, and there would be hope for him to become the champion of this genius contest. Whoosh. Xia Ping's figure flickered, and he used the Kunping steps to go to another area to find more opponents. Chapter 582. Bunch of trash, come out. Don't hide, you can't hide. Fight 300 rounds with me and see who wins. If you don't have the strength, go home and farm. Don't be an eyesore here. Xia Ping swept through the area, destroying buildings one by one. Countless participants were forced to come out to fight with him. They were all extremely sullen and helpless. Although they were all angry, there was nothing they could do. They could only fight with Xia Ping and continue to be abused. Many people were going crazy, hating Xia Ping to the bone. Xia Ping swept through the area and even attacked other experts without restraint. This matter soon spread to the entire competition area, and Xia Ping's name was also known by countless experts in this competition area. They knew that there was an arrogant person who was causing trouble everywhere. He was completely unrestrained and who knew how many people he had defeated. A group of participants was beaten back to their homes to rest. Even a group of angry participants working together was no match for this kid. They were all burned to death. Damn it, how can this shit-stirrer Xiaoping be so arrogant? He completely ignores the rules and causes trouble everywhere. If this continues, won't most of them be defeated and eliminated? Someone was half dead with anger. He had been hiding in a building, but this kid had set it on fire. If he hadn't run away quickly, he would have been suffocated in the building. Now he had been crushed like a dead dog by this kid. Not to mention how angry he was, he even wanted to kill Xiaoping. Just this and he's already arrogant. He even said that other than the students of Yanhuang University, the students of other schools are all trash. He said that those who graduated from high school are illiterate, even worse than trash. His eyes are all on his head. Someone gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. The veins on his forehead were bulging. He thought of Xiaoping's words. These words made him choke with anger and his lungs almost burst. Because he studied in a third-rate university, being able to participate in the genius competition proved that his talent was absolutely tyrannical. But this kid thought he was trash and looked down on him. How could he tolerate this? Damn it, so arrogant. Did no one take care of him? I'm not bragging, but in my hometown, this kind of person would have been beaten long ago. None of them would survive. A group of people gritted their teeth, very angry. Why didn't anyone take care of him? Of course there was, and it was a group of them, but they all failed. Previously, dozens of contestants had joined hands, but they were all burned to death by him. If not for the system's protection, they would have been turned into ashes long ago. Previously, an expert in the 9th level of the martial master realm tried to sneak an attack on him while he was resting. However, he was punched in the back and his head was almost deformed. It seems that this kid has comprehended the realm of cicada awareness before the autumn wind moves. Even the slightest movement of grass in the wind cannot be hidden from his spiritual perception. Sneak attacks won't work and besieging him won't work either. Looks like he's really the king of this competition zone. Not necessarily. This brat isn't the strongest in our division. It is said that Lu Chao, who possesses the bloodline of the King Kong demonic ape, is also here. If he personally makes a move, he will definitely die. Many people were incomparably angry, but there was nothing they could do because this kid's strength was indeed not bad, and ordinary warriors were not his match at all. He reckoned that the only way to stop him would be for a genius to take action. But even so, there were still some hot-tempered participants who didn't believe it. They all took action to cause trouble for Xiaoping, wanting to teach this arrogant fellow a lesson. The entire competition zone was in a mess because of Xiaoping. It was extremely embarrassing and the flames of war were everywhere. However, there were also people who ignored Xiaoping and kept a low profile. This kid from Yanhuang University is really happy. He's too stupid. He actually dares to be so unscrupulous and expose his strength wantonly here. What's the preliminaries? What's really important is the second round, which is the battle for the championship. Indeed, he has exposed all his secrets now. When the time comes, people will study him and find out his martial arts weaknesses. How can he be a match for others? He will be defeated immediately. Ignore him. He's just someone who likes to be in the limelight. It's fine as long as we can pass the preliminaries. Wait until the second round of the competition, this kid will know how powerful he is. He won't be able to go far at all. People who don't know how to hide their strength will never become great. Some people hid in the dark. All of them had extraordinary strength, and they had long set their sights on the battle for the championship. A mere preliminaries was just the first step and they didn't care about it at all. As for Xiaoping's provocation, it couldn't even anger them at all. They completely ignored it as if it was air. At this time, in a corner of the competition area, 2 or 3 people gathered together. All of them were LV9 martial masters. They were strong and had already reached the peak of martial master realm, which was enough to sweep away a large number of opponents. One of them was 9 meters tall, with thick hair and muscles all over his body like they were cast from steel. He gave off a wild and violent aura, like an ancient demonic ape. This person was Lu Chao. Big Brother Lu. That Yanhuang University's Xiaoping has been very arrogant recently, causing trouble everywhere. He claims to be invincible in the world and doesn't take anyone seriously. Should we go over and teach him a lesson so he knows what's good for him? Someone clenched his fist, making cracking sounds, and a ferocious light shone in his eyes. We do need to teach him a lesson. He's just a LV6 martial master and yet he's so arrogant. He claims to be invincible. What does he think of Brother Lu? There's no need for Brother Lu to do anything. I can defeat him alone. Indeed, if Brother Lu were to take action, it would be like using a butcher's knife to butcher a chicken. We would be enough. A few people laughed coldly. They were all very dissatisfied with Xiaoping's arrogance. He dared to say such words. What did he think of them? They were all very unhappy. Let him be arrogant for now. Lu Chao said calmly, the more he jumps, the better. The more trouble he causes, the better. When he's at his peak, I'll personally take action and kick him off his pedestal. He'll probably never forget it. His tone was sinister, and his eyes shone with a cold light like that of a wild beast. Brilliant, really brilliant. As expected of Brother Lu, he's so far-sighted. Killing him now would be too easy on him. On the last day when he's full of himself, I'll personally take him down in front of everyone. Let's see if he still has any face left then. Ah, Big Brother Lu is right. What's more satisfying than trampling on a person at his peak? I'm afraid that Brad is going to lose a lot of face this time. Maybe his heart of martial arts will collapse, and he'll never be able to break through to the Grandmaster realm. What does that have to do with us? This is just because he's too arrogant. A few people laughed coldly. They could almost see the scene of Xiaoping being defeated by their brother Lu, crying and breaking down completely. Chapter 583. 7 days later on a street. Broken buildings and broken walls could be seen everywhere. Fire beacons could be seen everywhere. Broken cars lay quietly on the ground. Gravel and dust were flying everywhere. Large amounts of plastic bags and paper were flying in the wind. Nearby buildings had collapsed and huge rocks were shattered. At the same time there were huge craters. Large amounts of blood flowed on the ground and the air was filled with an unpleasant smell of blood. This scene was like the end of the world. On this desolate street, there was only one person standing. It was Xiaoping. There was a bloody battle here just now. More than 10 geniuses attacked Xiaoping and wanted to get points. However, they were all killed by Xiaoping with his bare hands. This caused the place to be severely damaged. Peak 6th Layer Martial Master. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He felt that his quintessential essence had reached its peak. His body had opened 72 meridians. He only needed one more meridian to completely advance to the 7th heaven of Martial Master. He had also benefited a lot from the intense battles over the past few days. Some people ambushed him, some ganged up on him, and some even poisoned him. However, all of them were useless. Xiaoping dealt with them all. Instead, those people were killed and eliminated while he survived. Such an intense battle had also allowed him to improve rapidly. He had reached the peak 6th layer Martial Master. Just a little bit more, and I can advance to the 7th layer Martial Master. Xiaoping felt that he was still short of an intense battle. Only then would he be able to break through the bottleneck and open the 73rd meridian, advancing to the advanced Martial Master realm. Suddenly, Xiaoping raised his head and felt a murderous aura coming from afar. This was a feeling that he had never felt before. It was as if every cell in his body was trembling. The person coming was more terrifying than he had imagined. Dong. At this moment, a huge figure fell from the sky like a meteor. It instantly smashed onto the ground, and immediately a huge crater with a diameter of tens of meters appeared on the ground. When the smoke and dust dissipated, the figure appeared in front of Xiaoping. He was 9 meters tall and gave off an extremely oppressive feeling. He was covered with thick hair and mysterious inscriptions were carved on his forehead. He looked like an ancient violent ape. He held a huge metal rod in his hand. It seemed to weigh thousands of kilograms. Standing on the spot, he looked like a small mountain. This kind of aura was even more terrifying than Lu Chao. On the street, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes as he stared at the person before him. He recognized this person as the famous Lu Chao, who possessed the bloodline of the Vajra demon ape. Legend had it that he had an indestructible body and an invincible defense. Xiaoping. Lu Chao grinned and stared at Xiaoping, his voice cold. On this street, on the last day, the two peak experts of this competition zone met. The two of them stood in place, their auras colliding. With a pung sound, it was as if a gale had collided, and an earth-shattering sound erupted. Lu Chao, Xiaoping, the two of them finally meet. On the last day, Lu Chao actually took action personally. It seems this kid's arrogance has reached its limit. I reckon Lu Chao did it on purpose, choosing to make his move on the last day. He wants to beat this brat to the ground on this day where everyone is watching, establishing his prestige. Xiaoping won't have much luck in this battle. That's for sure. Lu Chao is a ninth-layer martial master with an indestructible body. No matter how strong this kid is, he won't be able to break through his defense. Indeed, if he can't even break through his defense, then it's only a matter of time before he loses. Many participants had also appeared on the streets. Their auras were hidden in the surroundings. They had also noticed that Xia Ping and Lu Chao were facing off against each other. It was already the last day, and those who could survive were all experts and peerless geniuses. Therefore, these people were not afraid of Xia Ping and Lu Chao, and they just watched the battle from the side. Some of them even had the idea that once both sides were heavily injured, they would be the Oriole behind and the fishermen would reap the benefits. If they could kill these two people, they would be able to obtain a lot of points, especially Xia Ping, who had killed countless opponents in the past few days. If it was based on points, he would definitely be ranked first in this competition zone. After all, no one was as crazy as this kid. You want to fight me? Xia Ping squinted his eyes and stared at Lu Chao. Lu Chao smiled faintly. Of course. I would like to see for myself exactly how strong Xia Ping is. He's only a 6th-layer martial master, but he's already suppressed many geniuses. Some 9th-layer martial masters tried to attack you, but you killed them with a single punch. His eyes were filled with madness and murderous intent. If we fight, both of us might be injured, and the one who wins will be taken advantage of by others. Why don't we join forces and kill these people? Xia Ping said with a smile as he made his suggestion. What? The surrounding participants' faces turned green. This Xia Ping was extremely vicious. He wanted to join forces with Lu Chao to kill all of them and eliminate them. This was not giving them a chance to live. Some people immediately gave up on the idea of taking advantage of Xia Ping. Their hearts were trembling and they felt that this place was extremely dangerous. If they were targeted by Xia Ping and Lu Chao, they would definitely die. Some people wanted to run away as soon as possible. There's no need for that. Lu Chao sneered, because killing you won't be an internecine outcome. A few moves are enough. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chao stomped on the ground. Instantly, the whole street cracked, and a terrifying crack that stretched for a few kilometers appeared. Huge rocks flew out one after another. He broke through the sound barrier and appeared in front of Xia Ping in an instant. He smashed his metal rod down from the sky, tearing the air apart and exploding with hundreds of tons of force. So fast. Xia Ping condensed a pair of wings on his back. In an instant, he performed the Kunpeng steps and moved dozens of meters away like a divine bird, dodging the fatal attack. At the same time, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He punched out and the fist energy became solid. The third move of the myriad beast fist, bear-splitting palm. A huge ancient bear reached out with its huge hand. The surrounding space was filled with a barbaric aura. The forest shook and thousands of beasts crawled on the ground, shivering. The power of this move was enough to crush a mountain. So strong. He's only in the 6th stage of the martial master realm, but his true essence is so thick and powerful. He's like a baby divine beast. Lu Chao's eyes narrowed and he was secretly shocked. The air exploded when this palm came. The move had reached the acme of perfection, and it contained the power of the Ripper beast. An ordinary martial master would probably be killed by this palm. Dong. At this moment, the huge rod and the bear's paw collided. It was like a demonic ape and a giant bear colliding. In an instant, there was a huge explosion and a rumbling sound was heard. Chapter 584. You want to dominate this place with only this kind of power? What a joke. Lu Chao sneered and smashed down with the metal rod in his hand. His attack was as fast as lightning, fierce and merciless. Immediately, the surrounding air was expelled, forming a vacuum zone. This kind of power contained a terrifying killing intent, which made people tremble. Bang! Xia Ping punched out to contend with it. The tyrannical power collided like a big explosion. The terrifying impact of the collision condensed into a substance, like wind blades, sweeping in all directions. With a few puffs, the surrounding buildings were cut in half at the middle. With a bang, the rod smashed down, and suddenly a deep pit with a diameter of 10 meters appeared on the street. With a cracking sound, gravel flew in all directions, flying into the distance. And these gravel exerted endless power. It was even faster than a sniper bullet, whistling through the air. Ah! The surrounding contestants who were watching were caught off guard. Who would have thought that the aftermath alone would have such a terrifying power? One by one, they were hit by the gravel and some even had their abdomens pierced, dripping with blood. There were also some who had one arm broken, one leg split in two. They let out shrill screams and fell to the ground, crying bitterly. The intense pain spread throughout their body and they could not bear it at all. Immediately, many people were immediately eliminated, turning into a white light and leaving the scene. Damn, we can't stay here anymore. These two monsters. Too strong. The group of contestants was scared half to death. Just the shockwaves from the battle between these two people could kill a group of people, and this was just the beginning. If this continued as the intensity of the battle increased, wouldn't a lot of them die? At that time they would be eliminated for no reason, and it would really be too unjust to die. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Many people did not dare to stay at all and left one after another. They only felt safe after running for a full 3 or 4 kilometers. In the live broadcast room the group of viewers was also stunned. They had never seen such an intense battle. The surging aftermath formed wind blades cutting the houses. Just the gravel that was blasted out was comparable to a sniper bullet, and it was certain to die. Before, they had also seen many martial master level battles, but compared to these two people, it was not worth mentioning at all. This was completely different. They seemed to be watching two future kings dueling. Bang bang bang. On the street, two figures were clashing madly. Sticks and fists collided, producing a metallic clanging sound. The onlookers could barely keep up with the speed of the two. They could only see two balls of air colliding. Every collision would create a huge crater in the ground and destroy a building. In just a few seconds, the two of them seemed to have collided hundreds of times, destroying the entire street. Chance. Xia Ping rotated his qigong, causing true energy to flow through his meridians and every cell in his body to breathe. His eyes were fixed on Lu Chao. After more than 100 collisions, Lu Chao had expended a lot of energy and he was breathing unnaturally. Although it was just a trace for an expert of Xia Ping's level, it was a huge flaw. Die. A cold glint appeared in Xia Ping's eyes as he used the Kunping steps. A pair of wings appeared on his back and he sped up. He was like a divine bird, leaving behind multiple afterimages in the air. He found an opening in Lu Chao's defense, and he clenched his fists as he attacked like a ferocious tiger. Dong. Lu Chao was caught off guard and was left wide open. The punch landed solidly on Lu Chao's chest, and a terrifying force exploded. What? Xia Ping's pupils shrank because he felt that his punch hit Lu Chao's body as if it had hit a body of steel. A clanging sound and dazzling sparks burst out. However, Lu Chao's body did not move at all. His body was covered by a layer of golden energy, which completely blocked the punch. Such a blow could not hurt him at all. Haha, it's useless. Your attack is useless against me. My body is indestructible. Even an expert who has just been promoted to the master level may not be able to break my body. What can you do? Go to hell. Lu Chao's face was ferocious. His muscles instantly swelled. He clenched the golden stick in his hand and smashed it at Xia Ping. The speed was so fast that it could not be seen by the naked eye. Bang. Xia Ping tried to block but he was still hit by the stick. The terrifying force hit him and sent him flying. His feet plowed the ground and slid for hundreds of meters before he came to a stop. He felt that the attack was extremely terrifying. The unparalleled force tried to penetrate his defense. It shook thousands of times, trying to destroy his internal organs and make his blood and qi tumble. A deep ravine was left on the cement floor, as if it had been destroyed by a violent ape. It left a shocking mark. What a strong, indestructible body. Xia Ping could feel that even an ordinary expert in the 9th tier of martial arts would not dare to take his punch head-on. If they dared to take it head-on, they would immediately be seriously injured. However, Lu Chao dared. He deliberately left himself wide open and took Xia Ping's punch head-on. However, he did not move at all. A mysterious golden energy was emitted from his body. It was as if gold was cast in every part of his body, causing his body to become hard. It was as if he had cultivated the peerless Qigong to the highest level. However, ordinary martial artists needed to cultivate the Vajra Qigong for many years, take many precious medicines, and put in a lot of effort to reach such a high level. Once reached, the martial artist would probably be in his 70s or 80s. However, Lu Chao was different. Once his bloodline was activated, he would immediately have such power. It was as if he had cultivated the Vajra Qigong to the great success realm. There were almost no weaknesses. Such an ability was almost like a divine ability. Xia Ping had also seen the terror of this legendary genius. It was definitely not something that other martial artists could compare to. This was enough to suppress a genius of an era. Xia Ping, is this all you have? If that's the case, then you can go and die now. Earth-shaking 36 strikes. Lu Chao laughed like a madman, gripping the metal stick tightly. Earth-shaking 36 strikes was Lu Chao's king-level secret art. It had reached the king-level high grade. It was infinitely powerful, and each strike contained endless ingenuity and endless changes. In fact, the power of each strike was more terrifying than the one before. It was unparalleled. When the power of the 36 strikes was stacked together, it was enough to shake the heavens and the earth. In the past, there was also an invincible king who used the earth-shaking 36 strikes. In the end, he killed 36 demon kings on the spot and destroyed thousands of kilometers. With one strike, he could change rivers and smash mountains. Rumble. Chapter 585. 10,000 Beast Fist. Xia Ping stood where he was, calm and composed. He immediately displayed the 10,000 Beast Fist and punched out. In the blink of an eye, many figures appeared on the ground. These figures were apes, lions, black bears, sharks, elephants, flying cranes, bulls, and so on. Many ferocious beasts appeared on the streets. Every blow contained the power of 10,000 beasts, setting off huge waves. Bang bang bang. The two forces collided wildly, and every time they collided, there was a loud sound and a pit appeared on the ground. What a fierce power! Xia Ping's pupils shrank. He felt that this 36 staffs shaking the earth was very extraordinary. Each staff contained an extremely exquisite move. It was natural, and even the power of the staff was infinite. When the staff came down, it was like a mountain smashing down. Every time the staff hit, even with the protection of Dark North body protection technique, he felt his blood boil, as if all the bones in his body were shattered by this power. If an ordinary warrior encountered such a staff technique, he would have been killed by a staff. It could only be said that this Lu Chao was too strong. He had the bloodline of the King Kong demon ape, which gave him invincible power. He was even more terrifying than Li Hu. In addition, this King Kong body was invincible in defense. Adding the two together, his combat power increased geometrically and he was invincible. Xia Ping, let's see how long you can resist. Go to hell. Lu Chao was extremely arrogant. He didn't defend at all. Every move was a fight to the death. They were all fatal moves. When the staff came down, layers of staff shadows appeared. It was like a mountain crushing down. It was extremely heavy, and the terrifying airflow was enough to flatten the earth. Lu Chao is too strong. I can't match him at all. This Xia Ping is not a match at all. It's only a matter of time before he loses. There's no other way. It's not that Xia Ping is not strong enough, but that Lu Chao is too abnormal. Not to mention anything else, just his King Kong body alone, who can destroy his body. As long as there is no way to destroy it, then he is in an invincible position. It's a pity that Xia Ping is also an expert, but he can only be considered unlucky to meet Lu Chao. It doesn't matter even if we lose. We still have half of the points left. Just these points alone should be enough for us to qualify. He might not necessarily lose. This Xia Ping is a peerless monster. Who knows if he has any more tricks up his sleeves? Humph, he's just the LV6 martial master. Do you think he can go against the heavens? Backup plans? How can there be so many backup plans in the world? Just blocking Lu Chao must have exhausted all of his strength. In the live broadcast room, many viewers were watching this scene. They thought that Lu Chao had gained the upper hand, and it was only a matter of time before Xia Ping was defeated and killed. However, many people also admitted that Xia Ping was quite amazing to be able to fight with Lu Chao to this extent. He was just young now, but in a few years, it would probably be this kid's world. Come on, continue. At this moment, Xia Ping was extremely excited. He could feel the blood in his body boiling. His eyes shone with a boundless battle intent as he fought Lu Chao to the death. This was because he could feel that every time Lu Chao collided with his body, it would cause a huge shock. Through the Northern Dark Body Protection Art, it would continuously temper his body. At the same time, the medicinal power in the depths of his body, as well as the potential that had been completely consumed, were also being tempered by this kind of tempering. The true essence in the meridians in his body was flowing like a river. It could be said that Lu Chao's attacks were simply assisting his cultivation, helping him temper his body and making it stronger. This saved him a lot of time. He felt the true essence in his body surging like an ocean. 72 meridians were surging like 72 rivers. The rapidly increasing true essence was about to burst his meridians. Once the true essence in his body reached its peak, he would be able to break through the 73rd meridian and step into the 7th level of the martial master realm. Crazy, this kid has gone completely crazy. Someone was dumbfounded because he saw that Xia Ping seemed to have gone crazy as well. He did not care about his body's defense at all as he exchanged punches and kicks with Lu Chao. The power of each punch was incomparably fierce, like a ferocious beast, his body emitting a violent wildness. What is this kid trying to do? Even if he wants to die, he shouldn't do it like this. The people in the live broadcast room were also dumbfounded. They could not understand why Xia Ping would actually abandon his body's defense and fight Lu Chao head-on. One had to know how terrifying Lu Chao's strength was. Even through the screen they could see how terrifying Lu Chao's strength was. With a swing of the rod, the air trembled and the rod's shadow condensed into a solid substance, flattening the entire street. If the rod landed on a human body, they would probably be turned into a pile of meat paste in an instant. However, this kid actually did not care about such terrifying strength at all. His ferocious nature was unleashed as he fought Lu Chao to the death. His fists condensed chi energy like a human weapon. It's like two wild beasts fighting to the death. Someone's heart was trembling. This was too violent, too barbaric. Both of them were like this. One was an ancient demon ape, holding a rod in his hand. He was the invincible ape king in the forest. The other was also an ancient savage. He was barehanded, but he had boundless strength that was enough to tear tigers and leopards apart. He fought with the ape king in the forest. Every time they collided, a large amount of blood would splatter. It was extremely cruel and bloody. It was as if the two of them did not care about their lives and were fighting to the death. If they were in their shoes, they would probably be torn apart in a second. Not even dregs would be left. Damn it, how can this kid's body be so strong? His defense doesn't seem to be inferior to mine. No one was more shocked than Lu Chao. He thought that with his rod technique he could beat this kid to death in a few moves and eliminate him. However, he did not expect that this kid's strength was far beyond his imagination. His rod struck the kid's arm, thigh, neck, back, and even his head. He thought that he would be able to beat the kid into a pile of meat paste. However, it was all useless. He felt that when his rod struck the kid's body, it was like hitting a ball of cotton. In an instant, his strength was completely absorbed. He was unable to touch the other party's internal organs in the slightest. It was different from his extremely tough defense. The other party's defense was extremely soft. It was like the ocean that could contain all rivers. It could absorb all kinds of energy and even transform it into its own. It can't be. Could it be that he also cultivated a peerless defensive technique that could rival my Diamond Demon Ape bloodline? Could it even surpass it? No, that's impossible. It's impossible for him to last for too long. Chapter 586. Xia Ping, I don't want to play with you anymore. This time I will kill you with one strike. Lu Chao roared. His eyes flashed with a red light, exuding a violent aura. King Kong Demon Ape. Rumbling could be heard as Lu Chao exploded with power. His blood boiled and his muscles bulged. His body doubled in size and he grew to a height of 3 meters. Right now he was like a little giant, possessing overwhelming power. What's going on? Why did Lu Chao's body suddenly grow bigger? It is said that this is a bloodline secret skill. If it is completely activated, it can increase one's strength by several times. However, I heard that it also has great side effects. It is not used unless it is a life and death situation. Yes, this is a bloodline secret skill. After activating it, his whole body will have a part of the characteristics of the King Kong Demon Ape. His body is like King Kong and his strength is infinite. He is much more terrifying than before. In order to finish the battle quickly and kill Xia Ping, he actually chose to activate his bloodline. This is too exaggerated. The onlookers all looked at Lu Chao. They felt that Lu Chao's aura was more than several times more terrifying than before. He was like a savage beast. Even the air seemed to distort in that instant. Demonic chi towered up to the heavens, forming a black mass. The rocks on the ground could not withstand the pressure and were crushed into powder. Boom. Lu Chao grabbed the staff with his right hand and infused all his spiritual chi into it. The surface of the staff was surrounded by a golden light. He immediately smashed it towards Xia Ping's head. Profound meaning of 36 staff shaking earth, shaking heaven and earth. When this staff smashed down, it was much more terrifying than before. It seemed that more than a dozen staff shadows instantly fused together, condensing into a huge staff mark. When the staff came down, it was like a 100 million ton mountain had smashed down with infinite power. It obviously hadn't hit the ground yet, but the whole street completely collapsed. In an instant, a terrifying crack appeared, stretching for several kilometers. So strong. And Xiaoping also felt the horror of this staff. Such pressure seemed to increase his body's gravity by more than 10 times. The air condensed as if he had fallen into a swamp. Even if he wanted to move a step, it would take a lot of energy. Xiaoping, brat, if you want to defeat me, Lu Chao, then go back and train for a few years first. The current you is not qualified at all. Lu Chao shouted angrily. Like a roaring ape, he attacked without holding back. The rod crushed down, smashing ruthlessly onto Xiaoping's body, making it impossible for him to dodge. Dong. Xiaoping immediately flew out, unable to withstand such power. Even the air shield of Dark North body protection technique appeared slightly cracked at this moment. It seemed to exceed the limit that it could bear. His body was blown away like a piece of paper, smashing through more than a dozen buildings and flying for 2 to 3 kilometers. Finally, he smashed through the wall of a building and fell inside. Large amounts of rubble rolled down, as if the entire building could not withstand this force and was about to collapse. More than a dozen terrifying cracks appeared on the walls, as if the building had been split into more than a dozen sections. It's over, Xiaoping is completely finished. There's no way he's still alive after suffering this blow. Without a doubt, he was eliminated this time. He was defeated by Lu Chao. God has eyes. Finally, someone has made him fail. This time, I want to see what he has to say. He dares to boast that he is invincible in the world. Let's see if he still has this face now. What a joke. In the live room, countless viewers are in an uproar, and some people are even gloating and comfortable, because this bitch Xiaoping has finally been defeated and eliminated. For them, this is simply great news. They are waiting for the end of the qualifiers, how to laugh at this guy and see if his skin is so thick. Previously, they were annoyed by this bastard, and this time they must get back at him. Xiaoping, you want to fight me with a tramp like you? Die for me. Lu Chao roared. He jumped from a distance, crossed a kilometer in an instant, raised the big stick and rushed towards the building. He wouldn't let Xiaoping off after gaining the upper hand, beating Xiaoping while he was down. He wanted to completely eliminate Xiaoping, not giving him any chance to make a comeback. Die my ass. A monkey wants me to die, why don't you go eat shit? Boom! A sound burst out, and then a terrifying big hand reached out from the building, condensed into a solid, incomparably huge, like the giant golden hand of Buddha, every line on it clearly visible. With a bang, the palm hit Lu Chao's body hard. It was like the Buddha slapping Sun Wukong, sending him flying with just one move. Lu Chao couldn't help but let out a shrill scream. This tyrannical power suddenly cracked the skin of his body, and a large amount of blood came out. His whole body was like a worm, smashing hard on the ground, immediately blasting out a deep pit. Pot out in the smoke, a figure walked out of the gravel, stepping on the gravel, making a pa-pa sound. This person is obviously Xiaoping, a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. However, his spirit has never been better, and his aura is more than several times more terrifying than before. Every step he takes seems to shake the earth, and even the gravel is shaking. The air behind him is distorted, and it seems that a flame divine bird has appeared, crying. He looked at Lu Chao, looking at him indifferently. How is this possible? Lu Chao stood up from the pile of gravel, staring at Xiaoping. Why is the power in your body even more terrifying than before? How can you improve by leaps and bounds so quickly? Were you pretending to be weak before? He couldn't believe his eyes. Just now, this kid was beaten to the point where he couldn't fight back, but now he is a mess, slapping him away with one palm and even almost injuring him. This is simply incredible. Whether it is strength, speed, or genuine essence compared to before, they are all on a different level. This is a huge improvement. No, you are not pretending to be weak and your cultivation has broken through. Have you already advanced to the 7th stage of the martial master realm? Lu Chao clenched his fists, his pupils constricted and couldn't help but shout. The 7th stage of the martial master realm? Hearing this, everyone watching the live broadcast was shocked, and couldn't help but jump from their seats. Previously, Xiaoping was only in the 6th stage of the martial master realm, but now he has advanced to the 7th stage of the martial master realm. In other words, this kid has clearly broken through during the battle. No wonder this kid suddenly became stronger. One should know that the 7th stage of the martial master realm and the 6th stage of the martial master realm are only one stage apart, but the difference is like heaven and earth. Advancing to the 7th stage of the martial master realm means stepping into the advanced stage of the martial master realm, and comprehending a trace of the true meaning of a grandmaster. This kind of strength is much stronger than an intermediate martial master. Chapter 587. Oh my god, he actually broke through to LV7 Martial Master. That's insane. Someone in the live broadcast room immediately exclaimed. He was completely dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? This is breaking through at the last minute. How could he do such a thing? Is he trying to defy the heavens? Someone was dumbfounded. This was a world where everyone practiced martial arts. No one knew better than them how difficult it was to break through at the last minute. Even if an ordinary person were to meditate and cultivate quietly and painstakingly, it would take an unknown amount of effort to break through to the next realm. In an intense battle, one could be in danger at any time. It was impossible to comprehend the profoundness of martial arts and break through at the last minute. It was only a legend. But now Xiaoping had done it. When he was fighting with Lu Chao, he suddenly broke through to LV7 Martial Master, greatly increasing his strength. Monster, this guy is simply a monster. Are you kidding me? Breaking through at the last minute? Is he still human? This is ridiculous. How can this bastard break through as easily as eating and drinking? I had an uncle who was stuck at LV6 Martial Master for more than 10 years. But this guy broke through at the last minute. Why is there such a huge gap between us? This is unreasonable. So what if he has excellent talent? Breaking through at the last minute? How can ordinary people like us survive? No wonder he can get into Yanhuang University. His talent is too terrifying. Ordinary people can't compare to him at all. Everyone was shocked. This fact was too shocking. Breaking through at the last minute was something that only happened in legends. It actually happened in front of them, and it was even live broadcast. They felt that they might be witnessing a legend. At this moment, Xiaoping was standing on the same spot. He could feel the majestic true qi flowing in his body. 73 meridians were like 73 great rivers, rumbling. After breaking through to LV7 Martial Master, the true qi in his body had become much stronger. Even an expert at the peak of LV9 Martial Master would not be able to compete with him. At the same time, he had also refined 2 or 3 infernal golden crow cells. His strength, speed, and other physical qualities were twice as strong as before. What was even more shocking was his left eye, the infernal golden crow's eye. Due to this breakthrough, Zhang Xian had assimilated quite a few infernal golden crow cells, and his left eye had finally stabilized. With just a slight activation of the eye, he was able to see a distance of more than 10 kilometers with incredible clarity. Furthermore, his dynamic vision had become more than 100 times stronger. He now had the ability to see through things, predict his opponent's movements, and so on. It could be said that he wasn't the slightest bit inferior to Nie Zhen, who possessed the three-eyed wolf bloodline. How did you die? Hearing these words, Lu Chao burst into laughter. He stared at Xiaoping and said, "You're only at the 7th layer martial master realm, and you're already thinking of turning the world upside down? Do you know my current martial Dao realm? 9th grade martial master. I reached the peak of martial master long ago. I have opened 108 meridians and all 100 meridians. My quintessence is endless. I am just a step away from advancing to grandmaster. You're just a weakling who has just reached the 7th layer martial master realm. How dare you ask me how you want to die? You're too arrogant." He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Although he was shocked by Xiaoping's breakthrough, he was only shocked. He did not think that he would definitely lose. Even if Zhang Xian had reached the 7th layer martial master realm, he would still be able to suppress him in terms of martial Dao realm cultivation. The gap between them had only shrunk slightly. It was impossible for Zhang Xian to defeat him with such a small gap. However, Zhang Xian had become extremely arrogant after reaching the 7th layer martial master realm. He even dared to ask him, a peak martial master realm expert, how he wanted to die. What a joke. He had seen many people at the 7th layer martial master realm and killed many of them, but he had never seen anyone with 3 heads and 6 arms. I can tell you this. Even if you've reached the 7th layer martial master realm, you're just an ant that's slightly stronger. I can kill you with a single swing of my rod. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chao's expression became extremely ferocious. With a whoosh, he instantly made his move. Like a fleeing rabbit, he instantly left his original spot and crossed several kilometers. His speed had broken through the sound barrier. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived beside Xiaoping and swung his rod in the air. The strength of the 9th layer martial master realm was instantly unleashed, which was much more terrifying than before. Too slow. Xiaoping stood on the spot calmly. His body emitted the aura of a martial master. His left eye immediately emitted a ball of flame, which rotated slowly like a swastika rune. Under the observation of the golden crow's eyes of hell, Lu Chao's movements could not be hidden. He could even see the angle, trajectory, force and changes of his attacks clearly. Everything was under the control of his left eye. Bang! Xia Ping stretched out his hand and grabbed Lu Chao's right hand with great precision, like an eagle catching a chick. He grabbed Lu Chao's right hand, which was wielding the giant metal stick. Following a loud bang, the two hands collided with each other, resulting in a shocking explosion. The shockwave swept across the place, causing a tall building in the distance to collapse. Chapter 588. Xia Ping stood where he was, carefully comprehending the mysteries of that palm. After advancing to the seventh heaven of martial master, his understanding of martial arts had greatly deepened. He had also pushed the realm of the clapless palm to a higher level and comprehended the second force. The first force was the firm force. The second force was the yin force. When the two forces superimposed, the power that erupted was simply exponential. It was like an instant explosion, penetrating layer by layer and destroying everything. Even an indestructible Vajra body would not be able to resist this move. Therefore, with just one palm he killed Lu Chao. Lu Chao could not resist at all. No way, Lu Chao was eliminated? I must be dreaming. That kid actually sent Lu Chao flying with one palm and crippled him on the spot. Impossible, I must be dreaming. Who do you think Lu Chao is? He has the bloodline of the King Kong demon ape and has an indestructible Vajra body. Even a beginner grandmaster might not be able to hurt him. How could this kid cripple him? But Lu Chao has been eliminated with just one palm. Yes, this is not a dream, this is reality. What exactly is happening? What kind of move could actually break Lu Chao's indestructible Vajra body? I don't know, I don't understand at all. This is already beyond the scope of my understanding. The surrounding martial artists were all shocked. According to their estimates, there was no way that Xia Ping could survive this battle, even if he was not dead. Even if Lu Chao did not defeat Xia Ping, there was absolutely no reason for him to be eliminated. At most, he would have run away if he was defeated. But now, not only had Lu Chao lost and been eliminated, but he had also been crippled with one palm and his indestructible Vajra body had been broken. This scared them half to death and they did not know how to react. Whoosh! At this moment, Xia Ping moved and walked into the distance. The others were scared half to death and stepped back, thinking that this demon would continue to go crazy and eliminate them. However, there were too many people in this group. Right now, Xia Ping was not in the mood to chase after this group of people. Anyway, he had enough points and there was still one day left. There was no need to continue killing. Most importantly, he had just advanced to the 7th layer martial master realm and needed to find a place to meditate and consolidate his cultivation base. Therefore, he was not in the mood to continue fighting with these people. Seeing Xia Ping's actions, the surrounding martial masters heaved a sigh of relief. As long as this killing god did not act rashly, they would be safe. They would not be eliminated for no reason. As for the rest, as long as they survived for a day, they would be able to break through to the qualifiers. In the live broadcast room, countless people saw that Xia Ping had personally defeated Lu Chao, which caused a huge shock. That was because Lu Chao was a popular candidate to become the champion of this competition. But now, in the preliminaries, he had been defeated and killed by an unknown person. His invincible Vajra body had been broken. This was a little terrifying. Instantly, this matter caused countless people to discuss it. What? Lu Chao was actually defeated in the preliminaries, and even his invincible Vajra body was broken? Xia Ping? Just who is this Xia Ping? How come I've never heard of him? Where did he come from? What did you say? This kid is a new student at Yanhuang University. It hasn't been long since he was promoted to an elite student. Are you kidding me? He's trying to defy the heavens. Defeating Lu Chao means that he has the strength to win the championship. This kid is a dark horse. Incredible. This is incredible. He's definitely a super newcomer, a monster that only appears once in 100 years. Many people in the audience heard this news and they were all shocked. After all, the arena was too big. There were millions of people competing. Even if they could monitor the entire scene, most people would find people they were familiar with to watch. This time, Xia Ping was considered famous. His name began to spread in the cloud realm. Some ordinary people also began to recognize his name, and they knew that Yanhuang University had produced a monster. Soon, many elders of Yanhuang University also learned about this matter, and they were all dumbfounded. Xiaoping? Is that the kid who caused a lot of trouble at school? Some elders had heard of this name. This kid was very good at causing trouble, and every time he did, he would cause public anger. Who knew how many people in Yanhuang University wanted to beat him up? He had even cleaned up after this guy's mess and handled trouble for him. I remember that this kid just became an elite student not long ago, and now he can already defeat Lu Chao? Some elders were also dumbfounded. Although they had high expectations for Xiaoping and thought that he would definitely become a king in the future, they did not expect him to defeat Lu Chao, who was at the peak of the martial master realm. This guy was a bit too good. Yes, I saw the video. It seems that he broke Lu Chao's Vajra body with one palm. How fierce. An elder watched the video carefully, and he had also seen Xiaoping's strength. This kid is indeed not simple. He has cultivated a king-level unique skill to the Acme level, and he is invincible among his peers. No way he broke Lu Chao's Vajra body with one palm? Impossible. Ordinary moves can't hurt Lu Chao at all. What kind of palm skill is this? Some people stared at the video, unable to understand. This is the clapless palm. A knowledgeable elder's eyes lit up and he said in a low voice, "That is a peerless palm skill created by the invincible King Zhuang Chuanqiu. It is tyrannical and invincible." Impossible. I have seen the clapless palm before. It is not like this at all. Indeed, the clapless palm is merely a king-level low-grade martial skill created by Zhuang Chuanqiu. Moreover, it is extremely difficult to cultivate. Until now, no one has been able to successfully cultivate it. Even Zhuang Chuanqiu said that it is a failure. Looking at the video, this kind of power has surpassed king-level low-grade, and even reached king-level peerless. A few elders said in a low voice. Then there is only one reason. The elder said, he has learned this martial skill and he even improved and evolved it, raising it to the level of king-level peerless. The moment these words were said, everyone was shocked. Because learning a king-level martial skill and creating a king-level martial skill, moreover a king-level peerless, were two completely different concepts. If this guess was true, this Xiaoping was not as simple as a monster. Enough, there is no need to continue guessing. The one who spoke was Yanhuang University's vice principal Lu Shuwen. In any case, completely seal off this news. Announce to the outside world that he has learned the clapless palm, and it is a king-level peerless. As for other things, don't say anything. Let others guess. The other elders nodded. They also knew that this matter was extremely serious. If the fiend race knew that a peerless monster had appeared in the human race, they would probably go crazy and kill him. At that time, even king-level assassins might appear. Based on Xiaoping's strength, if he encountered such an assassin, he would definitely die. Even if they would protect Xiaoping, there would still be a time when they would be careless, and there would always be a time when they would relax. Chapter 589. I didn't expect much from this kid. I only participated in this competition to gain experience. I didn't expect him to be this fierce. He even defeated Lu Chao. An elder from Yanhuang University smiled. He was obviously in a good mood. Yanhuang University didn't have much of an advantage this time, but now that Xiaoping had appeared out of nowhere and occupied one of the spots to enter the celestial demon battlefield, Yanhuang University would benefit greatly. Haha, Yanhuang University is going to be rich this time. It seems that the other universities are going to be scared out of their wits by recruiting such a monster. He just became an elite student not long ago, but he can even defeat a genius like Lu Chao. What will happen in the future? It's amazing now. He improved a low-grade king martial skill to a peerless king martial skill. His talent is terrifying. I think there will be a fierce battle in this genius competition. If it's a few years later, there will be no suspense. It's time for Yanhuang University to be the king. The other universities are all domineering, relying on their good luck to recruit a few descendants of king clans. Now that Xiaoping has appeared out of nowhere and slapped them in the face, I'm very happy. This kid must be heavily rewarded and continue to bring glory to Yanhuang University. Yes, we must reward him. Many elders were extremely happy. It was glory for Yanhuang University to have such a terrifying monster. It meant that they were still the highest educational institution of the human race. Moreover, with such talent, it was a certainty that he would become a king. If another invincible king appeared in Yanhuang University, their reputation in the entire Sky Realm would increase tremendously. Who knew how much benefit and prestige it would bring to Yanhuang University? Although Xia Ping had been mischievous recently and caused a lot of trouble, it was only a small problem for a king. It was just a small flaw and a small detail. It was nothing at all. This kid is the luck of Yanhuang University. Lu Shuwen stroked his white beard. His gaze was very amiable as he chuckled. He was also in a very good mood. The elders of the other universities also received the news and began to discuss it. Damn it, Yanhuang University really got lucky this time to actually recruit such a monster. I heard that he's a new student at Yanhuang University and has just been promoted to an elite student. This is a little too much. He has just become an elite student and he already defeated Lu Chao, who is a peak martial master. What will happen in a few more years? Won't he be the king of the genius competition? Who would be his match then? Let's not talk about a few years in the future. Right now he's already incredible. He's a hot favorite to win the championship. The move that broke Lu Chao's invincible Vajra body seems to be the clapless palm. Clapless palm? Wasn't that a useless martial skill created by Zhuang Chuanxiu? It's said that it's extremely difficult to cultivate and so far, no one has succeeded in cultivating it. That's right. According to the news from Yanhuang University, this martial technique is a peerless king-grade martial technique. Its might is boundless. To think that this brat managed to successfully cultivate it? He is indeed a demonic genius. I'm afraid Yanhuang University is going to be in the limelight this time. I really can't accept this. Even if he defeats Lu Chao, it's impossible for him to win. Feng Qiudao, Bai Qingqing and the local tyrant are all dragons and phoenixes among men. He is still far from being able to defeat those geniuses. That's true. He's still too young. The elders of many schools were also discussing this matter. They carefully watched the video of Xia Ping's battle and were all amazed. They all thought that another dark horse had appeared, a peerless monster. They were also glad that this brat was still young. Otherwise, there would be no suspense for him to win the championship. In the Cloud Realm, the major martial arts organizations also received the news that someone had defeated Lu Chao. Moreover, the other party was unknown and was a dark horse. This was a shocking event. Go and investigate immediately. Find out where this Xia Ping came from. He can even defeat Lu Chao. His talent and combat power are really terrifying. I heard that he is only at the 7th sky of the Martial Master Realm, 2 levels below Lu Chao. This is even more shocking. If he reaches the peak of the Martial Master Realm, won't he be able to sweep away all his opponents? If we can invite this brat to our organization, he will definitely bring a king to our organization. We must pay any price to recruit him into our organization. The higher-ups of many martial arts organizations were extremely excited. They quickly asked their subordinates to quickly collect information about Xia Ping. They planned to pay a huge price to recruit Xia Ping. The intelligence network of these martial arts organizations was also amazing. Soon they also received information about Xia Ping. Xia Ping, a new student of Yanhuang University this year. He has just been promoted to an elite student. He is from planet Yanhuang. Tsk amazing. He was actually born in planet Yanhuang. His family is ordinary. This is even more terrifying. He is from an ordinary family and yet he can crush the descendants of kings. How can this be? We must invite him. We must invite him immediately. Many people received the news. All of them were excited. They found that Xia Ping's potential was simply amazing. They couldn't wait to recruit Xia Ping as their own member. No, there is no hope. He is already an official member of the giant company. Someone said helplessly. What? He has been a member of the giant company for a long time? Damn it. Why are all the outstanding talents snatched away by them? There is no other way. They are giants. They cast their nets everywhere and always catch a lot of whales. Sai, we can only give up. Let's find the next fish that escaped the net. He is a member of the giant company. We can't poach him at all. The other party will not accept the invitation. When a group of people heard this news, they were helpless. They were dejected and chose to give up. If they wanted to snatch people from the giant company, they must be tired of living. At this time, the higher-ups of the giant company and a group of kings also received the news. I didn't expect that we would actually recruit such an outstanding talent from planet Yanhuang. Not bad at all. He is worthy of our company to focus on training him and invest more resources. According to this kid's cultivation speed, it will be very fast for him to become an elite master. Indeed, it is still too stingy to give resources to a martial master. If we want to give, we should give resources to an elite master. When he becomes an elite master, we will immediately give him a big gift. If this kid can become a king, the strength of our giant company will definitely increase. At that time, let's see how the other two major companies can compete with our company. In the future, the giant company will be the strongest. We will dominate the world. Was he trying to defy the heavens? How many people did you kill? He had never heard of Xia Ping's name before. He did not know how he had appeared in the qualifiers. There was no doubt that he was a dark horse. After all, the difficulty of obtaining more than 10,000 points in the qualifiers, which were filled with experts, was no less than scaling the heavens. Second place goes to Feng Qiudao with 3,753 points. Third place is by Qingqing with 3,598 points. A lot of people saw the rankings, but they were all shocked because they found that the difference in points between the first and second place was simply too big. My God, the publicly recognized favorites were not first in the qualifiers. Instead, it was an unknown person who took first place. Could it be that Xia Ping is the favorite to win this time? Look, there is information on him. What the fuck, 7th heaven of martial master. This kid is only at the 7th heaven of martial master, and he broke through during the qualifiers. It can't be. With such a cultivation level, he swept an entire division and obtained more than 10,000 points. Are all the people in that division retarded? How could they be flaunted like this by a junior? No. I checked the information. This kid even defeated Lu Chao. His strength is not to be underestimated. Even Lu Chao, who has the invincible Vajra body, was defeated? Are you kidding me? Are you sure it's not a rumor? Rumor my ass. There is a video on the internet. The evidence is conclusive. Many elite students were shocked. They would never have thought that such a dark horse would appear in the qualifiers and suppress Feng Qiudao and the other geniuses. Even Lu Chao was defeated. If it wasn't for the fact that Lu Chao had so many points, he would have been eliminated from the qualifiers. Feng Qiudao by Qingqing and the others also saw the rankings. They didn't care much about the rankings because it didn't represent their true strength. If they wanted to, they could obtain a large amount of points and sweep the entire division, but there was no need for that. The problem was that this kid had defeated Lu Chao, who had the invincible Vajra body. This was extraordinary. Lu Chao. Someone immediately noticed Lu Chao standing beside him. He immediately walked up and asked, I heard you were defeated by a junior named Xia Ping, who is only at the 7th heaven of martial master. Is this true? Tell me the truth. Did you go easy on him and take his money? He looked at Lu Chao curiously. The surrounding people also looked over and stared at Lu Chao. Take your ass. Lu Chao's face turned green. What kind of bullshit question was that? He was defeated by a junior at the 7th heaven of martial master and almost eliminated from the qualifiers. This was a very shameful thing. He didn't want to mention it at all. However, this guy was really touching his sore spot. Not only did he ask such a question, but he also questioned whether he had taken money. This was clearly a public slap to Lu Chao's face. After all, if he admitted to taking money, it would damage his reputation. It might even implicate his family and lead to a thorough investigation by the government. If he didn't admit to taking money, then he would lose even more face. It would mean that he was indeed defeated by a junior at the 7th heaven of martial master, and he couldn't even fight back. I have no comment. Lu Chao's face was very dark and his attitude was very uncooperative. He didn't want to answer this kind of question at all. Lu Chao, say a few words. You won't die anyway. That's right. Tell me how you felt about being defeated by a junior. I wonder, when you were defeated by that junior, did you have the urge to die? We don't know what that feeling is. Can you describe it in detail? A group of elite students who wanted to see the world in chaos were deliberately mocking Lu Chao. These bitches. Chapter 591. However, no matter how the people around him ridiculed and questioned him, Lu Chao remained silent. He stood on the ground like an enlightened monk, ignoring the people around him. He knew that the more he paid attention to these people, the more arrogant and smug they would be, and the more humiliated he would be. Therefore, the best thing to do now was to keep silent and not respond. Seeing this situation, the people around him gradually felt very bored. After all, it was very boring to tease a stone. Some people immediately thought of Xia Ping. If they could ask the person in question, they would definitely get a lot of inside information. Immediately, someone noticed Xia Ping standing in the middle of the square. Because Xia Ping's photo was on the information, the people around him found out what Xia Ping looked like after checking. "Kid, are you Xia Ping?" Someone saw Xia Ping next to him and asked suspiciously, "Look at the ranking. You actually got first place with more than 10,000 points with your cultivation of LV7 Martial Master. How did you do it?" He sized Xia Ping up. No matter how he looked at it, he did not expect this kid to be so fierce and kill so many experts. "Yeah, no matter how I look at it, there's something fishy going on. Is the person behind you superhuman?" There were also people who maliciously speculated that the person behind Xia Ping had used a great deal of connections. That was why Lu Chao deliberately failed and gave a large number of points to Xia Ping so that he could successfully pass the preliminaries. This was not impossible. Similar things had happened in the previous few competitions of geniuses, but they were all discovered and dealt with harshly with lifetime bans. Until now, no one dared to do such a stupid thing. After all, once this kind of thing was exposed, their reputation would be ruined. "It's none of your business, a bunch of illiterates." Xia Ping gave them a sidelong glance. He did not have a good tone at all. "What are you talking about? Who are you calling illiterates? In terms of age, we are older than you. Why don't you know any manners? Don't you know what respect is?" Someone was very dissatisfied, feeling that this kid's tone was too harsh. The people around were also surprised. They had only said a few words, but this guy was like a barrel of dynamite, exploding at the slightest touch. Lu Chao and the others had strange expressions, but they did not say anything. Because they were in the same competition zone as Xia Ping, they naturally knew that this guy had a bad temper, the kind that would beat people up if they did not agree with him. Now, this group of people had actually foolishly provoked this kid. How could they possibly gain anything from this? Moreover, this group of bastards had mocked and ridiculed him just now, treating him as a joke. This was a huge grudge, and Lu Chao was more than happy to see this group of people get snubbed. "Respect my ass." Xia Ping said disdainfully, "You already said that the person behind me has 3 heads and 6 arms, and that he is omnipotent. So what if I scold you guys a little? Some people are just itching for a beating. Do you believe that I will help your parents educate you and let you understand the principles of life?" What? They were furious. They had never seen such an arrogant junior before. He actually dared to mock them in front of so many people, saying that they were itching for a beating, looking down on them. He even wanted to help their parents educate them and help them understand the principles of life. What did this brat think he was? Even their grandfather wouldn't dare to say such words. They couldn't stand this kind of vexation at all. They couldn't tolerate this kid for even a second. "Of course, I'm not targeting you." Before these people could speak, Xia Ping waved his hand and said, "I'm only targeting everyone here. To be honest, in my eyes, you are all trash." Even though Lu Chao and the others knew that Xia Ping was extremely arrogant and looked down on everyone, they didn't expect him to be this arrogant. He directly said that everyone present was trash, and he did it in front of everyone. They were all dumbfounded. However, while Lu Chao and the others were dumbfounded, the others exploded. "Xia Ping." An elite student immediately flew into a rage and glared at Xia Ping. "You're a little too arrogant. Don't think that you can give orders here just because you passed the preliminaries and obtained the first place. Everyone here is an expert above the 8th heaven of martial arts. All of them are your seniors. It's fine if you don't respect us, but you actually dare to call us trash. What a scandal. Don't you know that this is a big crime? Kneel down and apologize immediately, or you will have to bear the consequences today." He clenched his fists tightly and his nose seemed to be smoking. "So what if you're a senior? You can take advantage of your seniority just because you're old? You still want to put on airs in front of me? Are you qualified?" Xia Ping said disdainfully, "The person behind me has 3 heads and 6 arms. He is omnipotent. Do you believe that one word from him will make it impossible for you to stay in the cloud realm? You will be deserted and your families will be exterminated." Everyone gritted their teeth. Not only was this bastard arrogant, but he also wanted to bully others. Even among the descendants of the sovereign families, there were not many people as arrogant as him. Lu Chao and the others had a strange look on their faces. If they hadn't checked Xia Ping's information just now and found out that he was just a commoner, they might have really been fooled by him and thought that he had some great background to be so unscrupulous. "You what?" Xia Ping said lazily, "I said that you are trash and you still don't want to admit it. Now I'll tie my hands. If you can beat me back one step, I'll take your surname." If you can't beat me back, you'll recognize me as your father. He waved his hand and let the group of people come up. Percent and yen hashtag. Damn it, kill him. Kill him now. I can't stand him for even a second. It's too infuriating. My big knife can't stand it anymore. I want to chop him into a dozen pieces. I hope everyone won't stop me. Stop my ass. I'm boiling water here. I'll cook him later. The group of elite students' faces turned red. If it was within their tolerance range before, they could not stand such provocation at all. Immediately, someone wanted to attack and teach Xiaoping a lesson. Boom. However, just as they were about to attack, a force suddenly descended from all directions. It was like a huge mountain crushing down on their bodies. Immediately, the group of people vomited blood and lay on the ground just like that. Warning: no private fights are allowed in the plaza. Repeat offenders will be expelled from Sun Moon City. A mechanical voice rang out and spread to the ears of all the elite students present. Immediately, everyone suddenly remembered that this was not a place where they could behave atrociously. It was Sun Moon City. The entire city was under strict surveillance. Any private fights would be stopped. Even the first person to attack would be severely punished. They were so angry that they did not think of this. What's wrong? Hit me. You have the guts, come and hit me now. I'll tie my hands and wait for you to come. Why don't you have the guts now? Are you girls? Don't you have any little tricks? Xiaoping shouted. Bitch. Chapter 592. Bitch. Despicable person. You know that fights are not allowed here, that's why you said that. You cowardly bandit. Just you wait, I'll deal with you sooner or later. The group of people gritted their teeth. They wanted nothing more than to pounce on Xiaoping and bite him to death. However, the rules of Sun Moon City prevented them from doing anything. They could only stand where they were. However, all of them clenched their fists tightly, and their faces were flushed red. What are you shouting for? If you don't dare to come over, call me father, Xiaoping said lazily. Bastard. The group of elite students wanted to tear this brat to pieces. They had never seen such a bastard in their lives. He was so evil that he was oozing pus from head to toe. It was as if all the flaws in the world were gathered on him. Scum and scum. These 4 words seemed to have been specially created for this brat. Top quality. Feng Qidao and the rest were speechless. They never thought that this dark horse would be like this. He did not feel mysterious at all. Instead, he was like a despicable person who stirred up trouble everywhere. It was as if every word he said made them angry from the bottom of their hearts. They wanted nothing more than to beat him up. He's finally starting to harm people from other schools. The group of elite students from Yanhuang University was also among them. Their mouths twitched. They already knew that this brat was not a law-abiding person. However, they didn't think that he would dare to act like this in such an important occasion like the Genius Tournament. Just how many enemies does this bastard want to provoke before he gives up? Lu Chao and the rest were also gritting their teeth. Although they already knew that this brat was crazy and liked to make enemies out of everyone in the world, this kind of craziness was still beyond their imagination. Boom! At this moment, Ho Hanyang, the Sun Moon City Lord, did not seem to notice the chaos below. Or perhaps he noticed it but he did not care at all. To such a person, the disputes of the younger generation were just fleeting clouds. He spoke again. Congratulations on entering the second round of the tournament. The second round will be an elimination round. The winner will be determined in 1 round. The order of your duels will be randomly assigned by the computer. Only those who win all their matches will be crowned champion. The second round will begin tomorrow morning. You can all rest today. Sun Moon City has already prepared your resting rooms. Furthermore, there are also nutrient fluids that can help you recover from your injuries. Good luck, everyone. After saying this, the virtual projection in the sky disappeared. If I meet you in the elimination round tomorrow, I will definitely kill you. An elite student stepped forward and glared at Xiaoping, his killing intent surging. This time he was truly infuriated by this brat. He swore that if he met Xiaoping in the elimination rounds, he would definitely kill this brat. Brat, you better pray that you don't run into us. Otherwise you'll definitely die. Just you wait. Once you meet me, I guarantee that all the bones in your body will be broken. Your mouth is very despicable. I will tear it to pieces so that you will never be able to speak again in this lifetime. The elite students came up one by one, glaring at Xiaoping fiercely. They knew that they couldn't touch Xiaoping now, so they could only curse at him to teach him a lesson. The hearts of Lu Chao and the others trembled. Being targeted by so many powerful enemies, even a monstrous genius would be frightened and unable to eat or sleep in peace. Now they felt a little pity for Xiaoping. If they were in their shoes, they would probably be trembling in fear and unable to speak. Xiaoping cast a sidelong glance and said disdainfully, "A bunch of trashes, I'll wait for you to bite me." Everyone was going crazy and their faces turned green. However, they couldn't do anything to him now. They could only glare at him and leave one by one, heading to the resting room prepared by the Sun Moon City to rest. Lu Chao and the others were speechless. Indeed, this bastard didn't deserve any sympathy. It was better to let someone beat him to death. Very quickly, a day passed and it was the morning of the second day. After a day of rest, Xiaoping felt refreshed. His fatigue and injuries had completely recovered. The high-grade nutrient fluid prepared by the Sun Moon City was very outstanding. Even for martial masters it was very beneficial. It could quickly recover from injuries. If it was sold outside it would probably be worth a lot. However, now they could use it as they pleased. This was also a kind of benefit for them after they passed the preliminaries. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment the entire Sun Moon City resounded with the crisp sound of a bell. It was like the morning bell and evening drum. It was crisp and pleasing to the ears of everyone in the Sun Moon City. The competition is about to start. Hearing this sound, Xiaoping immediately knew that it was the start of the competition. The participants were notified to hurry to the venue. If they were late, they would be automatically disqualified. It's finally the elimination round. I must get a good result this time. I heard that the champion of the genius competition will be rewarded handsomely. I wonder what it will be. There's no need to think about it. I'll be satisfied if I can enter the top 100. Let's go. If we are late, we will be automatically disqualified. Right, let's go. At this moment, the elite students immediately set off and walked towards a plaza in the center of the Sun Moon City. Xiaoping also followed the crowd to the center of the Sun Moon City. We're here. After 10 minutes, Xiaoping arrived at the center of the Sun Moon City. He looked around. The center of the Sun Moon City was a battleground called the Beast Battle Arena. The oval plaza was extremely wide, and it was no different from an ordinary beast battle arena. On the viewing platform, there were densely packed chairs that could accommodate at least a few 100,000 people. At this moment, the audience was walking in from the passageways. They were densely packed like ants. So many experts. Xiaoping's pupils constricted. He could feel the aura of the audience. All of them were unfathomable. Some of them were actually master-level martial artists, while most of them were martial masters. Moreover, this group of people were all battle-hardened. They were like the kings of wolves. They were all true experts. These audience members were basically combat experts who stayed in the Sun Moon City. Because of the genius competition, they had all stopped cultivating and came here to watch the competition. After all, even though they were combat experts, watching the battles of the geniuses was still very beneficial to them. However, the most terrifying of them all was the VIP room on the viewing platform. Xiaoping turned around and his eyes shone brightly. He could feel a terrifying aura descending from the sky. Like meteors, they all entered the VIP room. Even the master-level martial artists could only sit in the ordinary seats. Clearly, those who could enter the VIP room were all big shots. Each of them was a terrifying king-level martial artist. They were the supreme beings who stood at the peak of the human race. This was because these kings had also arrived for the genius competition. Chapter 593. Huh. Xiaoping stood on the square and suddenly felt two solid gazes from the audience. He turned around and looked up, and immediately saw two figures appearing in a corner of the audience. They were Qiushu and Sumei. Originally, his position was far away from the stands, but he was promoted to the 7th level of the martial master, and the hell golden crow's eye in his left eye was completely condensed. Even if he was more than 10 kilometers away, he could still see clearly. Therefore, he immediately saw the figures of Qiushu and Sumei, and they also appeared in the audience. What? Qiushu was shocked. The two of us seem to have been discovered by that kid. She was keenly aware of the gaze cast from a distance, and felt that Xiaoping might have discovered her and Sumei. How is that possible? Sumei sneered. There are at least hundreds of thousands of spectators in the audience and they are so far away. Even a grandmaster can't find a few specific people in front of so many people. You must have an illusion. She didn't think that Xiaoping had this kind of ability. Maybe. Qiushu also shook her head, and suddenly thought that it might be an illusion. But I didn't expect him to really break through the qualifiers and even rank first in points. When she saw this news before, she also felt extremely shocked. Originally, this kid was just an unknown kid on Yanhuang Star, and it was unknown if he could even be admitted to a university. But now, he was actually promoted to an elite student and appeared in the genius battle. He even competed with many geniuses. Such a change was simply incredible. Even if she exhausted her imagination, she didn't expect Xia Ping to have such a change. This little brat does have some ability. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been punished by the school and grounded for a month. I'll have to settle this score with him. Su Mei gritted her teeth. She had always been the only one who made men suffer, and she had never been taken advantage of by a man. She didn't expect that she would suffer such a big loss last time. It's all because of you. You deliberately made trouble here, otherwise, we wouldn't have been grounded by the school for so long. Thinking of this, Qiushu also looked at Su Mei angrily. In her eyes, this matter was all Su Mei's fault. Qiushu, you're actually speaking up for that gigolo. Don't tell me that you really like him? Didn't you say that you were just fooling around? Su Mei's beautiful eyes widened. Don't talk nonsense here. Qiushu wished that she could tear this woman's mouth apart. What did she mean by, just playing around? Did she think that she was some loose woman? Moreover, she had nothing to do with that kid at all. No way, Qiushu, when did you have a man? Just for fun? Could it be that you've also awakened that kind of need? Could that man be the rumored freshman Xia Ping? I thought it was a joke. Isn't this like an old cow eating young grass? How could you do this? The people sitting around Qiushu and Su Mei were basically the core students of various universities. They were experts at the Grandmaster level. The relationship between them was not shallow. It could be said that they had known each other for many years. They all looked at Qiushu in astonishment and were extremely curious about this shocking gossip. The one who spoke was a woman in yellow. She sneered and said, "What a joke. You usually pretend to be a white lotus and look like an ice goddess. I didn't expect that you're actually a loose woman. You can even do this to a little boy and keep a gigolo. You don't know how ridiculous you are behind the scenes. If those men who admire you find out, I wonder what they would think." Her name was Dao Bailan. She had a grudge against Qiushu. She used to like a man, but he liked Qiushu and rejected her pursuit. As a result, she hated Qiushu. If there was a chance, she would constantly find trouble with her. Hearing this, Qiushu cast a sidelong glance. What's the big deal about keeping a gigolo? I'm just afraid that even if some people take off their clothes and throw themselves at him, no man will want them. This is called a 10,000-year-old ant. Her words were also filled with anger. Qiushu, what are you saying? Who said that even if someone takes off their clothes and throws themselves at him, no one will want them? Tell me immediately. Dao Bailan jumped up and glared at Qiushu. She wanted to tear her clothes apart. I'll say whoever jumps the most. Qiushu gave a suggestion. I feel that you're rather charming. It's just that a certain part is a bit small, like an airport runway. Why don't you go get a breast implant? Perhaps there will be many men with a fresh and unique style who like you. Su Mei blinked. She didn't think that after Qiushu was angered, she would actually be so vicious. Who didn't know that what Dao Bailan cared about the most was her own figure? This was practically a taboo. But now Qiushu brazenly brought it up. She was clearly poking at the other's sore spot. Qiushu. Dao Bailan was driven mad. This scoundrel woman was clearly making a personal attack. Just because she was beautiful and had a good figure, she was unbridled. Although her figure wasn't good, it definitely wasn't an airport runway. In any case, there were still bulges. Why would she need plastic surgery? She wanted to rush up and have a big battle with Qiushu. However, she was immediately restrained by others. This was because this place didn't allow private fights. Otherwise, they would be expelled from Sun Moon City. Finally, she calmed down and took a deep breath. She could be considered to have suppressed the anger in her heart. I want to see just how far that little boyfriend of yours can go. Maybe he'll be eliminated in the first round. She cursed fiercely. Qiushu was extremely speechless. Although Xia Ping wasn't her boyfriend, he was provoked to this extent by Dao Bailan. She wouldn't go out of her way to explain. And these words were also heard by the surrounding male core students. All of their expressions were extremely unsightly. This was because Qiushu's charm was just too great. She could be called a goddess. Who knew how many admirers she had? There were even many king-level clans that had come to propose marriage. After all, not only was Qiushu exceptionally beautiful, she was also a martial Dao genius. It was estimated that after a period of time, she would advance to the king realm. her strength would greatly increase. In other words, whoever married Qiushi would obtain a future king. This would greatly increase the clan's power. How could these clans not be envious? Unfortunately, up until now, no clan had succeeded. But now there was actually news that Qiushi might have kept a little boyfriend. This made them incomparably mad. This ruined the plans of many king-level clans. It caused many people to be furious. Go and investigate. What background does this Xia Ping have? He even dares to touch Qiushi. He's courting death. A bastard from who knows where dares to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. He doesn't want his life. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.